all for joining. Very sorry for being a couple minutes late. Also, please ignore the AC on in the background. It is hot out there. And that is actually what I want to talk about right now in about 60 minutes, is the heat that we are dealing with. Um, because July 4th is coming out, and a lot of everybody right now, but a lot of Americans are finding themselves under the heat dome warnings. So we're looking at dealing with that. I want to talk about that because I want to make sure that the brethren are staying safe while they're celebrating the 4th of July. That means staying safe in terms of not risking heat stroke, heat exhaustion, what the differences are, how to protect yourself and your brethren. But that'll be after the first hour. The first 60 minutes, we just hang out, talk about anything. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about the Detroit Masonic Temple, and more specifically, I did, Douglas Marks, I did know that term came from Freemasonry. Specifically the library and archive. Oops, pinned the wrong one. I think, no, we're good, which I want to talk about in a moment, or after the first 60 minutes as well. But for now, let's just keep ourselves safe. In years past, I've used the 4th of July specifically to talk about and discuss history of Freemasonry in America, George Washington, John Paul Jones, things like that. And I love doing that, and I want to do that again, but I feel like I've covered that a lot, and I think that maybe protecting yourself in the heat might be, if nothing else, a more practical discussion point. Not that every discussion needs to be practical, but I think it's important that we try. For the time being, though, let's just wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Keep yourself safe in this heat. Douglas, how are you doing? And like, subscribe, super chat, comment. That stuff helps out big time. And let's wait to see who joins. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, neutral, let me know. Thank you, as always, for allowing my chat to grow, my YouTube to grow. We're seeing record growth across the channels, across the streams, Medium as well, so I'm grateful for that. But for now, we're just going to wait to see who joins. Please hit like and subscribe. Also seeing a lot of growth on my X account, for which I'm grateful also. Let's see who jumps in the chat to say hello. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry, please let me know. Positive, negative, or neutral. I would be much obliged. And like I said, the first 60 minutes, I don't really answer. I don't have any specific talking points. We just hang out, chat, wait to see who joins, anything they want to talk about. I will say, yesterday I did a watch along of a Hallmark Christmas movie on my personal channel. We watched We Wish You a Merry Christmas, because I love Hallmark Christmas movies. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to do a watch-along of the soccer game, Canada versus Morocco. So if you're like me and you love soccer, actually, honestly, I don't really love soccer normally. However, with the World Cup happening, I'm feeling patriotic, and so we're going to check it out. Yeah, I remember you said you were watching with somebody, right? Mayo? Yeah, that's awesome. I agree. I would say a 10 out of 10 as well. I think it's incredible. Patis, Aya? I'm going to call you Aya. So I am Cameron. I am a Freemason. My channel is about promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities which is located, as well as turning my passion into profession. My day is going well, watch me will. The term watch me will, or the name watch me will, makes me think you want people to watch you, which makes me think you have a YouTube channel. If so, what's it about? And please hit like and subscribe. Nicholas, I mean, it's not the motherland of everyone, but it's the motherland of perhaps yourself and Americans. And I love America. I've said it before. In my opinion, Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. So I love the United States. I think it's safe to say they're having some issues at the moment, but I still love the country. Hello, Austin. Good to see you again. I don't know why there's even a debate about if Bear is a good person or not. Comments. Oh, from Obsession? Yeah, I mean, I think the key kind of the key kind of moment where you see Bear as a not good person is when he calls the One Wish Willow number, customer service line, and doesn't ask for the spell to be broken, just asks for the spell to be altered enough that she stops acting crazy while still being robbed of her free will to make the decision. So I think up until that point you could argue, like, how could he know, right? Obviously you're not at first going to believe the One Wish Willow actually is real, I can do anything, and then the first little bit you can always kind of dismiss it because the idea of a supernatural spell, it's not something I would believe at first, right? But once he decides it's real and then doesn't try to break the spell, just tries to modify it, I think that's when it's obvious that he's not a good dude. I just watched Obsessed. It was a little bit slow. It had a bit of a slow burn to it, Brad, but I still really like it. Give it up. What's going on? Please hit like and subscribe. I like The Bear, the television show, by the way, one of the greatest television shows of all time, with maybe the greatest final season of all time. Kid Jewel, no spaceships today. I don't think it's bad, like, in cities or communities, Nicholas. I just think the political situation is challenging. I do have a PS3. I should buy. I promise you, Austin, I am. And we're going to be talking about that soon. I promise you. Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't believe in the supernatural, right? I don't believe in anything supernatural. I don't believe in spells or witchcraft or magic. So if I was the Bear, I might, as a joke, because I've done stuff like that before, like break the One Wish Willow and make that type of wish, not thinking it would actually happen, right? Or like, I remember once I was in a shop and they were selling this, it was a lock and key set, and the lady told me if I put the lock and key somewhere or on something that was very important to me, I would never lose it. So I bought it and I left it at a place that I really loved. I didn't actually believe it's going to work, but I just did it for fun. So, to me, for the first bit, if I'm in the Bear's position, I probably wouldn't know what's going on, but I wouldn't think it was supernatural, just because I think the supernatural doesn't exist. To me, once he believes it's real and then calls the number, I think that's when it switches over. Because at that point, he now knows it's real, and he's still trying to not break the wish. So I don't got any eye makeup on. This is all me. This is all me and my beauty. It's funny, I did a few questions and polls on X asking people, if you got a One Wish Willow, what would you wish for? And then I asked, if you got a One Wish Willow in Freemasonry, what would you wish for, right? If you had a One Wish Willow and you could make one wish related to Freemasonry, what would you wish for? More attendance, more members, more money. I think the fourth one was better ritual. Maybe Mayo, but again, I mean, I would probably just assume, because what's more likely, that you've broken the laws of physics and have created a real life spell, or that she just changed her mind on her own, right? People change their mind all the time. I would have a hard time believing it's supernatural, put it that way, because I don't believe in the supernatural. Dylan, hello. Nicholas, I mean, what I always suggest is just keep trying. I had a friend of mine who was banned from getting into the States, and then eventually he got a pardon and was able to move to the States. He doesn't live there, he visits, so it's possible. Um, I'm not one who believes that, Austin. Hello, Eugene. Thank you for being here. I believe we have a soul, I believe we have a spirit, but I don't believe it's supernatural. I think Nicholas, I enjoy, I love the United States. I think it's incredible. I do also agree with you, though. I think personally a multi-party system is better than a two-party system. I don't think monks, I mean, when you say control their energy, I don't know what that means. You can control your breathing. You can control the way people interact with you. You can control your thoughts. You can't, send out your energies to others, if that makes any sense. I'm from Canada, born and raised in Winnipeg. Currently live in Windsor, Ontario. Greatest country in the world. I don't know how you do that, Austin, but I can even control the energy on my YouTube channel, let alone energy around me. If I could, what I'd be asking people to do is hitting the like button and the subscribe button. Get me to 4,400 subs would be much obliged. We're getting there slowly but surely. I don't think you can. I appreciate that, but I don't think you can, Austin. I don't know who Mama Luigi is, Oreo1, but welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe if you are new to this stream. I mean, I think it's just become a trend in general that people are more and more interested in the occult, which is really unfortunate because I think that does not lead to good things in one's life. Yeah, but it's not possible, right? It's kind of like, throwing a coin in a wishing well or whatever it is. I mean, if the supernatural was real, then I think it would absolutely be wrong. But how many people have at some point or another unrequited love? I wish so and so loved me, or I wish whatever it is. People make those types of wishes all the time. The problem is, if you live in a world where the supernatural is real, and people will say that in the same way they'll say, I wish for $1,000,000, right? They don't actually believe it's true, or they shouldn't, because the supernatural, in my opinion, does not exist. Now, I will say, my one issue with obsession, definitely, Harry, you're not wrong. Certainly, I think it's safe to say by the 45 to 50 minutes into that movie, there's zero doubt that he's a selfish person and he's being wrong. I think I give him more of the benefit of the doubt for a little bit longer, but I would say certainly by the second half to the last 30 minutes, he's at that point the bad guy without no question, and he's pretty monstrous of a human being. But I don't think, I think just the act itself of making the wish, I don't think that's inherently evil if you're like me and you don't believe those things exist. Because we've all made dumb wishes and whatever it is, right? Who doesn't? I wish she liked me. I wish I had $1,000,000. I wish this, I wish that, right? It's human nature to make those kind of wishes. The key is, if you ever realized somehow that your wishes were coming true and it was possible to make these wishes, then you have a responsibility to wish in a manner that's responsible and that is cognizant of and protective of not just yourself, but everybody around you and the free will of those around you as well, right? Because, you could wish to be famous, but if the reason you're famous is because you made a wish that you're famous and everybody likes you just because of the wish, that's also taking away people's free will, right? Yes. Harry, I agree with you on that one. You and I disagree on a lot of things, I feel like. But I agree with you on that one, Harry. Once the bear realized the wish was real and did not try to stop it and did not try to fix it, then he switches over from victim to abuser. Um, when precisely he knew or should have known, you can debate that, and I think there's a lot of different areas where you can make the debate. I would go like 45 minutes in or so, I think is when I would make that as the argument. But, you know, you can pick your time. There is no Illuminati, not for well over 100 years. Yes, there's just one Oreo allowed here. I don't know if the Illuminati believe in magic or not, but I don't. I mean, Mary, Andrew, people can say a lot of things about me. No one's ever called me unassuming, innocuous, who knows me. I am a pain in the ass and very assuming and proud of it. Well, you can do things you dream of, but not anything that breaks the laws of physics. I mean, I dream of being a famous content creator, thereby turning my passion for Freemasonry into a profession, and this is what I'm working on. So I believe in God, Austin, but I believe in a supreme being, but I don't believe in any religious supreme being. Canada. I've never been to Area 51, Rebar. Please hit like and subscribe. Yes, Mayo. That was the most effective part of the movie, I think, is those moments where she came to and, kind of came out of herself. Um, Although that is a weird thing because that implies that there's something else happening with the One Wish Willow, right? Because technically the wish was never granted, right? The wish was, I forget her name, but this girl loves me more than anything else in the world. But it's clear that that wish wasn't granted because the girl didn't love him more than anything else in the world. It was this doppelganger that took over her body, which confuses you a little bit. Does the One Wish Willow do that with every wish that's granted? I remember when the guy asked for $1 billion and it, rained down from the sky. Is it like $1 billion not an American currency? Is there always some monkey's paw kind of modification to it? I am not an actor. Will be kind of fun one day, I suppose. Foreign Kate, we cannot meet for a walk. I have no legs, but I can roll. We can get a coffee at the Masonic Temple sometime. I am a Freemason, ASS. I have been a Mason for just about 20 years, and I started this channel to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as talk about stories of Masonic interest. Ahmad, I do not know why this world is so cruel. Other than you probably cannot create a world without some cruelty, because if you had no cruelty, you cannot appreciate kindness. A liar and an idiot. I've been called a liar, I've been called an idiot, never both. All right, Sandra, why do you think I'm a liar and an idiot? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Hello, Speed. How's it going? Please hit like and subscribe. To everybody watching this, please hit like, please hit subscribe. We are getting closer and closer to 4,400 subs. So, I mean, God is supernatural, but for some people, I don't think everybody's supreme being automatically needs to be religious or needs to be supernatural. Freemasonry is not homophobic, nor is it sexist. Because I am not homophobic, I am not sexist, and I'm a Freemason. So, no. You always have to word your wish carefully, Mayo. That's one of the key things of any of these monkey's paw type of arguments, right? Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. Threshold, there's no such thing as those type of rituals. But I guess, Austin, I'll find out when I reach the next world. But I'm not a fan of... I don't think the what if you're wrong question is that helpful because, A Christian and an atheist could both be wrong, and the correct religion could be the Muslim faith or the Jewish faith, or we could be reincarnated, right? There's so many different ways that we can be right or we can be wrong. I think ultimately what we need to do, first and foremost, is we all need to look into our hearts, figure out within our hearts what speaks to us and what we think is the most likely to be true based on our experiences, and pursue that. And pursue that through the use of discussion with a proper and accredited religious leader. I would sit next to a trans man without issue in a Masonic lodge. Right? There really is no other way to do it, Austin, because I have no idea, and Freemasonry has no idea and cannot tell you like what happens in the next life, who is correct or incorrect on this stuff. Nor should it. That's not its goal. The real art. Thank you for the star. Well, fair enough, Austin. I mean, many Freemasons agree with that. I'm just saying, because they're Christian, I'm just saying, as someone who's not a Christian myself, I can't speak to what is and is not correct in the Bible or in any volume of sacred law. I'm sure that's true modern welfare, but that doesn't disprove any religious beliefs. That just, an inability to understand something is not equivalent with the fact it's not true, right? Or the inability to comprehend something. Well, Critter is doing better than me then. How's it going, Critter? Thank you for being here. Everybody watching, thank you for joining. As always, please don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on this thing called Freemasonry, let me know. So the Fat Muppet, every Masonic lodge or every Masonic jurisdiction has different rules on it. I can tell you my personal favorite jurisdictional rule on trans membership is from the United Grand Lodge of England, which stated that trans men are welcome to join a Masonic lodge. That was put out in 2018, and I think that is absolutely the correct approach to take on it, in my humble opinion. I don't think they're technically a woman. I think trans men are men. Trans women are women, right? At least in the purposes of societal expectations, norms, and how they're treated. And how I'll treat them, right? Thank you again for the one gift. Let's make sure we keep those gifts coming, those super chats coming, those subscribes coming, all that good jazz. So Freemasonry is not connected to the Illuminati, and the Illuminati formed in 1776 by a gentleman named Adam Weishaupt, who was a former Freemason. He left Freemasonry in order to start his own organization called the Illuminati. However, it kind of stopped existing. I think at least 100 years ago, there's no more Illuminati. And it was meant in some ways to be kind of opposition to Freemasonry. I mean, guess what I would say, Harry, is, for me, in my oh so humble opinion, if somebody transitions or is in the process of transitioning and says that they are, that they are a woman, then I'm going to, give them the pronouns and all the rest of it. I mean, that's one way to do it, Minotaur. That's, that might be the best approach to take, obviously, is to make sure you comply with the majority. I suspect in 100 years, maybe 50 years, it won't make a difference at all, assuming Freemasonry is still around in 100 years. It's kind of like gay marriage, which people mostly just recognize now and accept, as they should. That's a good way to do it as well, the Fat Muppet, I think. And I agree with that. For some reason, my monetization's been acting funny on my YouTube. Let me know if you guys are seeing ads. Mental illness is not okay. I mean, oh my gosh, we're getting off topic of Freemasonry. I mean, I don't think being trans is a mental illness. I think it's a medical condition, right? Because it requires medical intervention, not all the time, but it requires, as a general rule, medical intervention to make, your view of yourself congruent with your view of the world. And I think that's fair, or the way the world views you. So I think you can call it a medical condition, but it's not mental illness. It's no different than, I have no legs, I need a wheelchair. It's a medical condition, but it's not a mental illness, right? It's something I need to allow me to exist within the world in a manner that's comfortable for me. Never brought what up, Anne? Can we go back to Obsession? I loved Obsession, great movie. I would give it not quite a 10, I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. Um, well, if you ever do see ads on my stream, let me know. Minotaur, democratic processes are incredibly important to Freemasonry. I would say democracy is the most important, one of the most important elements and parts of Freemasonry, absolutely. I did enjoy the film Misery. Honestly, I recently saw a production of Misery at the Windsor Masonic Temple. When I say recently, I mean it was last year, but it was really, really good. So they're doing a great job with it. Hello, Addie. I've had conversations with trans. A couple of my good friends are trans. Um, Actually, one good friend and one member of my family, extended family, are trans. I don't know. I mean, mostly we don't talk about it. It'd be weird for me to bring up the fact that they're trans. We just talk about the price of gas and how things are going in their lives. They seem to be doing fine. I don't know. I like the reality called Misery. That was pretty funny. Um, Minotaur, I'm working for my daily bread. Just because I got no legs, I can still work for it. Hello from India. Hello, Zonos. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. So, Anne, yeah, there's different dates that people give. I know in 1601 there was a document released. I can't remember what it's called, but I would say 1634 is usually the date I go with. That is the date of the um, that is the date of the very first speculative Mason to join. Three of them. Well, they're both silent, right? They are metaphorical tools. You can use them in a literal sense. I mean, the square to test corners and angles of buildings. The compasses to check to make sure you've done your calculations correctly on a design or on a plan. Um, my great grandfather's Mason. That's awesome, assassin. That's very cool. I mean, I always recommend, if you can and if it's possible, I always encourage people, take the time, check on your Masonic, check at the local lodge. They may want to get those items back. And if they do, you should consider returning it to them. Um, as a keepsake for the lodge. But if you want to keep it yourself as a memento of your grandfather, they're yours to do with as you please. Um, I like tomatoes. I never used to, but I've grown to like it more. The fat, well, it gets hard because it's got the number 1 in there. I know it's supposed to be an I, but I have had tres leches cake. It's okay. But I'm not a huge fan of cakes as a general rule. Robert Whiteside. I don't know if the Pythagorean numerical values are eerie. I'm not sure what is meant by that. I mean, I think they're beautiful. I think they demonstrate the proof of, they demonstrate proof of concept. They demonstrate proof that the world is rational and can be calculated. And those geometric principles are still used, 2,000 years later to get us into space. Mayo, I've grown, and I think tomatoes are very healthy for you as well. So I've grown to like them a lot. Beauty is important for both the facade and the interior, right? I don't know if When it comes to buildings, you can separate the two. Obviously, I want to make sure as much as possible that I am right on the inside, um, or my buildings are well constructed, safe. But I want to make sure they're also safe on the outside as well. Like I think it's a both. I don't think it's an either or, right? The interior and the exterior of a building matters. Beauty matters. Now, there's different types of beauty and different ways to be beautiful. Kindness is beautiful. Respect is beautiful. Um, in architectural buildings, symmetry, proportions, there's all different types of things that can be beautiful. But I do think beauty is important. I've done some different studies a little bit on the quantum level. It's fascinating. I think it's still rational, but it's just rational in a different way than we might think of. Which actually might be kind of fun thing to talk about at some point. I've done interviews with NASA scientists, and I've always really enjoyed doing them. Do I like cucumbers? I like cucumber and tomato salad. I think that's incredible and delicious. By the way, please, 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 to my friends in the States, call somebody, talk to somebody. Let's get that Gordie Howe Bridge opened. I really want to get it opened at some point. It's driving me crazy. Bell peppers. I love bell peppers. Roasted bell peppers are so good. I don't think, Noodler, that the quantum side is irrational. I think it's just a different type of rationality. What I would say is a really great person to check out about this is Leonard Susskind. Leonard Susskind, Susskind. He has a ton of interviews and a ton of lectures online about both classical mechanics and quantum mechanics through Oxford. It's really, really cool. Hello, Saleh. Please like and subscribe. Rusty Nails. We could at some point, but the problem is I know so little about the Moose Lodge. Dad, how's it going? I love you. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., I'm going to be Eastern. I'm going to be doing a live stream of the Canada-US soccer game. I'm going to be watching it. Watch it with me. Not a live stream of the game, but a live stream of me watching the game, just like before, because it was fun and it's something different. So I hope you'll consider joining me for it. We as Freemasons should love our country, and we should want the best for it. We should want them to defeat Morocco. And Moroccans, you should want your country to defeat ours. Gabriel, I'm handsome, is what I am. Scott, where are you? Did I miss you? Oh, there you are, Scott. Very sorry I missed you. I hope you're doing well. You're not going to the barbecue. Sorry. Anyway, Scott, it's really good to see you. Do you think Masons could be different in some states, like teaching and understanding, or is it all the same everywhere? So, Kirst, that's a really good point and a really good question. It is, gosh, how do I put this? So Freemasonry is different in every state. Every Masonic jurisdiction is different. And in America and in Canada, it goes state by state or province by province. So the ritual is different in Texas than it is in Louisiana. If you're on the East Coast, you can literally, drive from, let's say, you start in New York, then you go to New Jersey, then you go to Philadelphia, then you go to Delaware, then you go to Rhode Island, then you go to Massachusetts. I think you can do that drive all in one day. You will have literally passed through 6 different jurisdictions with 6 different Masonic rituals. However, even though the rituals are different, the understandings are the same. Like, I've been to Masonic Lodge meetings and Masonic events in Texas, Texas, Florida, California, Philadelphia, Chicago, Illinois, Michigan, Nevada. And even though the ritual was different each time, I knew exactly what was going on, exactly what was happening, and had a good understanding of what was happening. Because It's common understanding. Mike, sorry, Scott, send me the info for the barbecue. Forgive me for missing it. I don't think I can go. I have another barbecue I'll be going to tomorrow, but that'll be later. The soccer game will go from like 1 to 2:30. So maybe I could hit it up. Can you send me a message on Facebook, Scott, with the info? Let me just double check. Nice. Well, I hope you go to that, Dad. I hope you go to that. I hope you tell everybody I say hello and to keep an eye on you so you don't cause trouble. And I mean, no, the U.S. is not a soccer slash football country, but it's getting that way. Nice, Robert Whiteside. I mean, it's cool that you have a lodge next door to you. That is awesome. We are going to be giving it a bit of time. Wait to see who joins. Like I said, the first 60 minutes, I don't have any specific talking points. I just hang out and chat with people. I do want to talk. I know a lot of my Masonic brethren this weekend are getting ready to take part in events and celebrations. They're going to march in parades, whatever it might be. I want to make sure I talk to them about, or talk about keeping safe, because I am quite concerned. We're seeing a rise in heat-related illnesses here in Windsor, and I suspect we're going to see them everywhere. Okie dokie. They all have similar initiation rites. I can see an initiation in Texas and then see one in Illinois. It's going to be different, but it's going to be similar enough that I know what's happening. Gays. Do you mean America will win the World Cup? Maybe. I don't know. And sure, some Freemasons do team sports. That does happen. There is, Masonic basketball teams and baseball teams. In fact, coming up, we have very shortly we have a softball game happening here in Windsor on August 29th. I mean, the OTO and Freemasonry are separate, right? The Ordo Temporis Orientis, I think it's called. They're not the same organization. I think the OTO, I know very little about it, but it seems to lean far more into the magic and the witchcraft and all the rest of it, more so than anything else. What's Well, I don't think somebody that is going to be America's last. I don't think it's going to be America's last birthday. I hope not. I think the world would be a worse place if America did not exist. And it's going through some rough time, but that's okay. I think it's going to make it through. Just sending a quick note to somebody. What is the meaning of the spiral staircase in Freemasonry? So the spiral staircase, it relates back to King Solomon's temple. It was part of Solomon's temple. Again, metaphorically, I don't even know if King Solomon's temple was ever actually a real place. But to me, it represents, ascension, not so much in a spiritual sense, but in a practical sense, becoming better, becoming more knowledgeable. And through that becoming better and becoming more knowledgeable, you are able to be a better part of this world, right? You kind of advance. No worries, somebody. He was Golden Dawn. I mean, the Hermetic Order of Golden Dawn is also something I know very little about, but also it's not a Masonic order. You are welcome, somebody. And to everybody watching this, as always, I hope you guys are doing well. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. One thing I'm thinking of doing also, just for fun and just to try something different, is I was thinking of doing another Hallmark movie watch along on my personal channel, youtube.com/Cameron Adamson. Maybe do a full day though of Hallmark Christmas movies. Because I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a big nerd. I love those movies. I think they're incredible. I'm a big girl. And believe me, now that I have air conditioning and it's working and it's not super loud, it might be kind of fun to do that. I can do that here, spend the day. We can get some hot chocolate, get some candy canes. But that's my personal YouTube account, not this one. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Curse? Maybe. I don't think we know for sure. There's, I would say, incredibly limited archaeological evidence that it ever existed. I mean, but it's tough. Like for decades, for centuries, people believed Troy was a mythical city, only to then discover it actually existed in Turkey. I can't remember the name of the. I can't remember the name of the. The name of the architect, the archaeologist, excuse me, who found it, but. Thank you, Scott Cooley. That's much obliged. And I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you all once again for being here. Let me just see if I can get this quickly. Oh, yeah, I think I will be there tomorrow, Scott, actually. I think I will be there. Or I might be close by, and I may be able to go to a couple different barbecues tomorrow. Thank you, Robert White. That's very kind of you. So, no. I mean, King Solomon is an incredibly important figure within Freemasonry, don't get me wrong. But we do not necessarily use the greater or lesser keys of Solomon. I mean, there was a book written called... Oh, I can't remember the name of the book now. I think there's a book called The Lesser Keys of Solomon, if I remember correctly. Like, there's no doubt King Solomon is a very important figure within Freemasonry, but again, it's metaphorical. It's a metaphorical, use, not literal. And don't forget, if anybody does these super chats, for $2 or more Canadian, you get your super chat read out text to speech as a way for me to say thank you.
At RKW Robert Whiteside 10 United States dollars, thank you.
I like occult stuff. I do too. I mean, but Curse, I enjoy that. I think it's interesting. However, I don't believe it's real, right? I think it's interesting from a philosophical sense, like what does it represent philosophically? And I think it's interesting in a psychological sense. What is it about these things that is so attractive to human beings? I don't believe it's literally the case, right? I don't think it's literally true. Archaeologists usually use find an ivory, pomegranate, and that's true, Scott. I mean, I just think the evidence of the temple is too inconclusive. I did read that story, but pomegranates are going to be an important symbol within that region, right? I mean, if I recall correctly, pomegranates are native to the Middle East. So it doesn't shock me that many buildings would have pomegranates carved out of ivory. The idea that it's inherently, and obviously Solomon's temple, I'm unconvinced that Solomon's temple actually existed literally. I don't deny it's possible, but I don't think there's enough there that we can say for sure. But I keep saying, and I know I've been saying this for years, so take it with a grain of salt. I really want to get, at some point, a expert on to talk about King Solomon, both from a biblical and historical perspective.
At RKW Robert Whiteside 10 United States dollars, thank you.
So, Curse, to be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. I do believe in a supreme being. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science and expressed through geometry. What do I wish to know? How to be happy. Which I know sounds like a very simple answer, but I think all of us on some level are searching for how to be happy. Sometimes I get there, sometimes I don't, but my goal is to always try to be happy. And maybe even to spread that happiness to others, which, by the way, is a very Masonic answer. If you know, you know. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Chloe Jenkins, don't know who that is. Millionaire, I don't want to dance. I'm a terrible dancer. And believe me, you don't want to see me dance. There you go, Scott Cooley. Heinrich Schliemann. I took anthropology and archaeology in undergrad, and I knew that name, I just couldn't think of it. Millionaire trustee, you're being weird. I'm probably going to time you out in a second. You're being a very strange person on this chat. I don't desire wealth. I don't desire power. Knowledge, I mean, sure. I think we all desire to know more than we do. I think it's a very Masonic thing to be a lifetime learner. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm always trying to learn new things and learn different things. In fact, I think curiosity is one of the key elements that will create a positive Masonic experience for the membership. If you're curious, you are more than likely going to be very successful when it comes to, very successful when it comes to your Masonic career, at least in my experience. What's going on? Good guy activism. All right, millionaire. I'm gonna have to put you in a bit of a timeout. I don't know what's happening, but you're getting weird. Humans feel so... What's going on? Actually, Scott, if you're going that way, maybe I could steal a ride with you to the barbecue. I'll send you an email and a message on Facebook tonight. Let me just double check something. But we may be able to go together. The temple was real, though, and archaeologists found an ivory pomegranate. Okay. Like I said, I'm agnostic as to whether the temple was real or not. I don't know for sure, but I think for me as a Freemason, I always consider it first and foremost more so than anything else, I consider it to be a very valuable metaphor for how I wish to live my life. And that spiral staircase, the idea of ascending and learning more. Yeah, well, no, it is, Scott. Yeah, the wall is believed to be part of it, the Wailing Wall, where, honestly, one of my goals in life, it's not the top. I'd say the top place I want to visit right now, to be honest, is Japan, because Freemasonry in Japan is fascinating. But I do want to visit the Wailing Wall. I'm not Jewish, but because I'm a Freemason and the Solomon's Temple is so important to Freemasonry. So Scott, maybe I can still ride with you tomorrow. Let me just get in touch with you, because the soccer game goes from 1 to 2:30. That gives me plenty of time to, make it where I need to go, or to meet up with you perhaps somewhere. All right, we're going to give this another 10, 15 minutes. We're going to switch over and start talking about the main subject, which is going to be keeping ourselves safe in what is a lot of heat and dangerous heat. So, Robert Whiteside, I wrote something. Let me ask you, Robert, do you follow me on Medium? Because I wrote an article on Medium a few years ago talking about personality assessments and Freemasonry. And one of the things we found is that people who are more curious and open-minded tend to be better at Freemasonry. They tend to find it more interesting, more enjoyable, and keep active in it for longer, which is really fascinating and something I want to share more about. Circuit Bard, I'm doing well. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. Okay, well, Robert, let me leave in the channel. I'm glad you're alive. The link to the article I wrote. You can find it there. Follow me there. I'd much obliged. And if you want to leave your personality quiz there, I'd appreciate it very much. It's called Personality Assessments and Positive Masonic Performance. I don't know, Curse, because I don't know much about the Golden Dawn, but I don't believe so. Here it is. Personality Assessments and Positive Masonic Performance. Even if you're not a Mason, I'd be curious to know your personality type, because my suspicion is curious people probably are more engaged on this channel as well. Here it is, medium.com. That's the link. Let me know if you can copy it, paste it, get it in there. If you even just Google search Personality Assessments and Positive Masonic Performance, Cameron Square Compass, you should be able to find it. I mean, Mike, I got a big nose, Dom. What can I say? I've just had to grow to accept it. I got a big nose. Nothing much I can do about it. Well, that is getting weird, Curse. That is getting weird. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, you know, it's something you saw somewhere. No. I would not join any organization that required that or even made that an option, because it's wrong on both accounts. It's unsafe, it's illegal, it can spread disease, and it's something that, you know, should not be doing. So there you go. Okay, yeah, let me know. I'd appreciate it. If you can't, you can't. It's no worries. And as always, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Personality assessments, awesome. Yeah, follow, comment, reply, etc., etc. Yes, David, that is just fake propaganda about Freemasonry. We should be. I mean, we should be. You know, it's a little thing, but I always say Freemasonry, it's, you know, there's nothing illegal, immoral, or unsafe about being a Freemason. When I say unsafe, I include, you know, anything that would be unhygienic, like drinking blood or something. Who eats the black cake? That sounds terrible. I don't want to have any burnt cake. I mean, if, you know, obviously it's better than eating or drinking blood, but still. Well, so Mayo, and by the way, this is a genius idea if they do it. I heard that they're not going to do a sequel. They're going to do an anthology series where it's a bunch of different one-wish willows and you see the results of each wish, which is absolutely genius, by the way. It's absolutely genius, and they should do it. My one issue with you know, my one issue with Obsession, and the reason I went 9.5 to 10, is because, you know, I don't quite, like, I have no problem with something being supernatural and being unexplained. For example, one of my favorite movies, and a movie I loved more than, really, that's really cool, Mayo. Um, like, one of my favorite movies of the last little bit was The Substance, starring Demi Moore. And again, you have this thing that could not exist, obviously. Um, at least as far as I know, right? This injection that you put in and it separates you into two people. Obviously, there's no way it could ever exist. Okay, fine. I like the fact in that movie they don't explain it at all. It just exists, it's a thing. And I like how it's like you would, like, I think that worked well. I think, and because it's the type of thing that is going to be popular with actresses and the rich and powerful, it makes sense that the general public would not know about it. Because obviously, not everybody is going to need or want that. It's going to be for people trying to keep their career going and the rich and famous. The One Wish Willow, the fact that it's sold for so little, the fact that anybody can get it, I do have a little bit of a problem with how it works. Because wouldn't there be news stories? Like, if I can make a wish, I want $1 billion, and suddenly I get $1 billion. All that needs to do is happen 2 or 3 times before it's on every news report, every CNN story in the world, and suddenly everybody's buying these willows. Like, the fact that no one seems to question how this is working, and they're still selling it, I don't know. I had a lot of questions about that. So it's a little bit of an issue for me. No worries, Scott, but thank you for being here. I really appreciate it as always. Thank you for your support. Well, Circuit, we're going to talk about Freemasonry in a couple minutes, but yes, right now we're talking obsession. Because I do like scary movies. And also, Obsession was, made by a YouTuber. As someone who's on YouTube, I think it's really cool to see. Kind of, but, doctors, engineers, lawyers, plumbers, professors, retirees, pensioners, carpenters, and everything in between. That would be really interesting. Could you make a wish on a One Wish Willow that you go back in time? Yeah, Circuit. And I thought it was great to see, again, a YouTuber doing so well on you in the big screen, because it gives hope to everybody else who's trying to make a living on YouTube, like moi. Not just on YouTube, to be honest, but content creation as a general rule. Sorry, Curse, they're not. Harry, I would not. I don't know what I'd wish for. I'd be nervous about making the wish. As someone who grew up, assuming if I believed it was real, as someone who grew up on scary movies and loving them, I would be very concerned about a monkey's paw situation and would not know how best to deal with it in those circumstances. No, I cannot, and you know why. You're lucky I haven't timed you out with that name, for the record. Honestly, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, the Fat Muppets, so I don't think it'd be enjoyable. I always try to figure out, like, if I'm going to do something, part of it has to be something I enjoy, right? Del Aware, please hit like and subscribe. Kulo, please hit like and subscribe. Everybody watching this, please hit like and subscribe. We're getting closer and closer to 4,400. We're 18 away at this point. So I'd like to get there if we could. My point exactly, Mayo. I would feel exactly the same way. I would have the same nervousness. Mayo, I would love to get that prop. If anyone wants to send me one, I'd appreciate it. I would love to one day buy that prop. Just need to save up my money a bit right now. How much, do you mind if I ask, how much did it cost? That's not bad, to be honest. That's not bad at all. I wonder how many people are buying those props and actually making that wish, though. The frosting is the worst part. See, the reason I don't like cake is I don't like frosting. I don't like the filling either. I mean, I'll have it. Don't get me wrong. I'll have frosting if I have to, but it's not my favorite. For me, in the great debate of pie versus pie versus cake, I gotta go with pie. A good blueberry pie or a good apricot pie is just so much better than anything else. That'd be a terrible wish. What are you doing to me? Mayo and Oreos. As always, though, I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. Some may not. You'd have to, I mean, I'm sure each individual First Nations or Indigenous member makes up their mind for themselves. We're going to give this another couple minutes and I'm going to start. Actually, what I'm going to do, because I have to go to the washroom like crazy, one of the curses of streaming, I'm going to give you my co-host. Be nice to him. I'll be back in a moment. He's got a lot of cat hair on him. Clearly my cat's been running up against him. Be nice to my co-host. I'll be back in a moment. And then we're going to start talking about 4th of July events, Freemasonry, and keeping yourself safe. And keeping your brothers safe as All right, we are back. I hope you guys were nice to my co-host. All right, so right now, our maple syrup. Thank you, Yo Maple. That's very kind of you. Jeremy, if you, I mean, if you can make it over here. All right. I ordered a One Wish Willow. That is awesome. If anyone wants to send me a One Wish Willow, I'd be much obliged. I don't think that's true, Natsu. I think there's better ways to keep the evil away. Right now, hold on one second. Let me pull up the information. I had it somewhere. Oops. Right now, according to ABC News, between 150 million to 250 million Americans are currently under extreme heat alerts and advisories as a massive heat dome impacts the central and eastern United States. Forecasters indicate that up to half of the U.S. population is experiencing temperatures well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit during this prolonged stretch. I'm also under a heat warning here in Canada, right? Salon.com. Actually, I'm going to use the BBC report. Dangerous heat wave to hit U.S. ahead of holiday weekend. A prolonged and dangerous heat wave will intensify across a swath of the U.S. this week, ushering in scorching daytime heat, high humidity, and stifling overnight temperatures, forecasters predict. The reason that, the latter part there is so concerning, stifling overnight temperatures, to my understanding, is, it's not simply the daytime heat in and of itself. Normally, even if it's really hot during the day, overnight is your body's chance to relax, to cool down, to refresh itself, and you kind of prepare yourself to take on the next day. If every single day, you're dealing with high heat and your body doesn't have a chance to recover overnight, that can be incredibly dangerous. According to this, 120 million to 150 million people nationwide are under extreme heat warnings as of Tuesday, as Americans head into the 4th of July holiday weekend. To the north, much of Canada began experiencing its own heat wave on Tuesday, temperatures up to 37 degrees Celsius, 99 degrees Fahrenheit in Ontario. It also comes after Europe suffered a heat wave linked to 1,300 excess deaths. The heat wave is forecast to hit a large area of the country from the U.S. East Coast to central areas. So at this point, about 250 million people in the coming days can be expected to be impacted by a heat warning. Temperatures ranging from 95 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit combined with high humidity will bring the heat index to 100 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Daily temperature records are expected to be broken on Thursday and Friday, with some monthly and all-time records possible. Officials are warning people living in the affected areas to limit time outdoors, stay hydrated, and ensure access to air conditioning or cooling centers. I will say, thank you, love from India. Thank you, Samith. Here in Windsor, I can tell you some areas where you can get access to air conditioning right now. The casino, so long as you're obviously dressed appropriately and are not acting a fool, but the Caesars Windsor does have air conditioning. So does the Windsor Public Library. The various branches, but I know, for example, our downtown library is open right now. Devonshire Mall has air conditioning. If you need to stop by City Hall, it's open and has air conditioning. You need to just relax for a couple minutes. Waterworld also has air conditioning. The Aquatic Center. Those are all places you can stop in just for at least a few minutes, if not longer, to get yourself access to some air conditioning. And it's incredibly important. Throughout, North America, Europe, I always find, as a general rule, libraries, public libraries, are usually good places to go to access air conditioning if you need it. And very often communities and regions will open up cooling shelters during summer heat waves. The hottest weather will be in Texas, Detroit, Michigan, which is right across the river from me, where temperatures could reach 100 degrees Fahrenheit, opened a dozen recreation centers with air conditioning for residents to cool down. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani activated a heat emergency plan with hundreds of cooling centers set to open across the city on Wednesday. Philadelphia is moving parts of its FIFA World Cup festival into cooled tents on Thursday and Friday. In Canada, temperatures are expected to remain high until Thursday, particularly in Ontario. Amid the heat, Toronto is due to host a World Cup game on Thursday. Temperatures expected to reach 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Country issued orange heat warnings, the second level of 3-tier alert system in Ontario. So the reason I bring this up, I'm doing well, Lee Partridge, is right now we are getting close. We're one day away from July 4th. What July 4th means very often is outdoor parades, outdoor celebrations, barbecues, and many times Freemasons are engaged and involved in all of the above. They will be taking part in outdoor parades and outdoor festivals. They will be taking part in celebrations. They will be taking part in barbecues. It's very common for Masonic lodges to have barbecues and summer, events on or around the July 4th weekend, especially because July 4th falls on a Saturday, which means Mondays might be, a holiday, or Friday might be a holiday. Either way, it's a good excuse for a barbecue. Yo Maple, that's a good idea. The author Stoic, I know not a lot about Knights of Columbus, honestly, but I've known a few and they're good people, and I wish them all the best. So first, I think it's incumbent upon us as Freemasons during this time, especially if we are taking part in these types of events and celebrations, to do two things. First, there's no such thing as those practices, Tuger. I think we might be as well, Curse. First, we need to pay attention to signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke in ourselves. But perhaps more importantly, we need to pay attention to warnings of heat exhaustion and heat stroke in those around us. Both of which are necessary and both of which are incredibly important that we do. And it's also our responsibility as Freemasons, right? This is from the Mayo Clinic. Heat exhaustion is a condition that happens when your body overheats, or when anyone's body overheats. Symptoms may include heavy sweating and rapid pulse. Heat exhaustion is one of the 3 heat illnesses. Heat cramps is the mildest heat illness. Heat stroke is the most serious. Causes of heat illness include exposure to high temperatures, particularly when there is also high humidity, and strenuous physical activity. Without prompt treatment, heat exhaustion can lead to heat stroke, a life-threatening condition. Fortunately, heat exhaustion is preventable. So this is something we should be looking out for in ourselves, but also for others. Symptoms of heat exhaustion may suddenly start or progress over time, especially with prolonged periods of exercise. Heat exhaustion symptoms may include cool, moist skin with goosebumps when in heat, heavy sweating, faintness, dizziness, fatigue, weak, rapid pulse, low blood pressure upon standing, muscle cramps, nausea, and headache. If you think you have heat exhaustion, stop all activity and rest, move to a cooler place, drink cool water or sports drinks. If you think someone else has heat exhaustion, encourage them to stop activity and rest, encourage them to move to a cooler place, and encourage them to drink cool water or sports drink. So if you are, for example, part of a Masonic lodge that is marching in a parade, and you see one of your lodge brothers who's marching, struggling, seeming to have some of these symptoms, complaining of nausea, headache, dizziness, faintness, is rapidly or heavily sweating, um, maybe, hopefully, as you're marching in this parade, there are cars in the parade as well. See if you can get them into one of these cars to get access to air conditioning. Make sure you have extra water with you or available to you that you can get for this person, right? Um, Contact health professionals if symptoms get worse or they don't improve within the hour. If you're with someone who has symptoms of heat exhaustion, seek immediate medical help if the person becomes confused, distressed, loses consciousness, or cannot drink. If the person's core body temperature, measured by a thermometer, reaches 104 degrees, get help right away. The person needs immediate cooling and urgent medical attention. The body's heat combined with environmental heat affects your body's core temperature. This is your body's inner temperature. Your body needs to regulate heat gain in hot weather and heat loss in cold weather. To keep a core temperature that's typical for you, the average core temperature is 98.6 degrees. In hot weather, your body cools itself mainly by sweating. The evaporation of your sweat regulates your body temperature. But when you exercise strenuously or otherwise overexert in hot, humid weather, your body is less able to cool itself efficiently. And that exertion, right, it could be marching in a parade. It could be being part of a barbecue and being next to the grill as the heat climbs and as the heat rises. It could be setting up tents or anything else for a special day. As a result, heat cramps may start in your body. Heat cramps are the mildest form of heat illness. Symptoms include heavy sweating, fatigue, thirst, and muscle cramps. Prompt treatment may prevent heat cramps from progressing to a more serious form of heat illness, such as heat exhaustion. Drinking fluids or sports drinks that have electrolytes can help treat heat cramps. Other treatments include getting into cooler temperatures, such as air-conditioned or shaded places, and resting. We do have a couple mods, Retro Rocket, but don't be saying dumb stuff and you're not going to be dealing with it. Mayo, I won't be streaming tonight at 1 a.m. Next stream will be tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern for the soccer game. Besides hot weather and strenuous activity, other causes of heat exhaustion include dehydration, which lessens your body's ability to sweat and keep an average core temperature, alcohol use, which can affect your body's ability to regulate temperature, and overdressing, particularly in clothes that don't allow sweat to evaporate easily. One of the risk factors we may be dealing with within Freemasonry is very often if you are for example, a district deputy grand master or a officer somehow, in some cases, the expectation is that you will wear your suit, your tie, your tuxedo when out on Masonic functions, and that includes and is even when you are in a parade or celebration. You're still expected to wear all of your regalia, a suit, a tie, a tuxedo. For that reason, it is incredibly important that if you're one of the people who needs to wear these things, you spend even more time drinking water, not even when you're out, but when you're out and before you're out to get yourself properly hydrated, that you pay attention to how you're feeling, that you get yourself to a cool, shaded area if you have to. If you're part of a Masonic lodge that meets during the summer and you're in a building that's not air-conditioned, maybe encourage the brethren to not wear a suit and tie, especially if there's a dress code. Ask for dispensation to allow them to show up or take off their jackets, depending on how hot it is. And again, if you are marching in a parade and you have to wear regalia, try to make sure you don't wear regalia plus a suit and tie, etc., right? Whatever it might be that you're doing, just pay attention to those things. It matters. It matters more than people give it credit for. Because I think we've all probably known people who have been at risk for or suffered from heat stroke, heat exhaustion. Risk factors. Anyone can get heat illness, but certain factors increase your sensitivity to heat. They include young age or old age. Infants, children younger than 4, and adults older than 65 are at high risk of heat exhaustion. The body's ability to regulate itself and its temperature isn't fully developed in children. In older adults, illnesses, medicines, and other factors can affect the body's ability to control temperature. So pay attention to every single brother who might be out marching or celebrating this July 4th event day, or or going to barbecues or going to special events. But I would say pay particular attention to those who are older. Certain medicines and drugs, some medicines can affect your body's ability to stay hydrated and respond properly to heat. These include medicines used to treat high blood pressure and heart conditions, such as beta blockers or diuretics, or even antihistamines or tranquilizers. So if you are antipsychotics, illicit drugs, so if you are somebody who is on medication, or you know somebody who's on those types of medications, again, just pay attention, be aware. Obesity, carrying excess weight can affect your body's ability to regulate its temperature and cause your body to keep more heat. Sudden temperature changes. If you're not used to the heat, you're more susceptible to heat illnesses such as heat exhaustion. The body needs time to get used to higher temperatures. Traveling to warm climates from cold ones, or living in an area that experiences early heat waves, can put you at risk of heat illness. Um, that's interesting. I never heard that trick before, Yo Maple. Um, a high heat index. The heat index is a single temperature value that considers how both the outdoor temperature and humidity make you feel. When the humidity is high, your sweat can evaporate as easily, and your body has more trouble cooling itself. This makes you more prone to heat exhaustion and heat stroke. When the heat index is 91 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, take precautions, keep yourself cool. Um, if heat exhaustion isn't treated, it can lead to heat stroke. Heat stroke is a life-threatening condition. It happens when your core body temperature reaches 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Heat stroke needs immediate medical attention to prevent permanent damage to your brain and other vital organs that can result in death. So a good reminder to people, if you are, let's say again, you're a Masonic Lodge and you're taking part in a parade, or you are taking part in a barbecue, whatever it might be, it's really important that you make sure at least a few of your Masonic brethren have cell phones that are charged. So if anybody finds themselves struggling with heat exhaustion or heat stroke, you can immediately contact 911 and contact the authorities. Get somebody there, medical authorities, get somebody there to help you. I would say hashtag the greatest city in North America is Chicago. I love it. Hello, Seth. Please like and subscribe. Prevention. So let's make sure that if we as Freemasons are taking part in some of these events or celebrations, first of all, you wear loose-fitting, lightweight clothing. Wearing too much clothing or clothing that fits tightly won't allow your body to cool properly. If you're part of a Masonic Lodge and you're taking part in a parade, if you're allowed to anyways, don't wear too much clothing and wear loose-fitting clothing. If you are expected to wear regalia and like a suit and tie or something, maybe request dispensation to wear something different. Maybe get t-shirts that have a Masonic logo on them, but that's personal to you. And also, and I would say more importantly than that, if you have a lodge meeting and it's in a building that's not air-conditioned, and you have a dress code, request dispensation to change the dress code to light-fitting, loose clothing for the same reason. Protect against sunburn. Again, if you're going out on a barbecue for Freemasonry, or you're going in a parade for Freemasonry, whatever it is, if you're doing anything outside, whether it's Masonic or not, but, Masonic barbecues, marching in a parade, use sunscreen with an SPF of at least 30. Reapply every couple of hours. Wear a wide-brimmed hat. Drink plenty of fluids. Staying hydrated helps your body sweat and keeps your body temperature from rising. Don't just be drinking plenty of fluids when you are out in the sun. Even before you go out, hydrate yourself. Never leave anyone in a parked car. So if you are driving somewhere, you need, to a Masonic, whatever it is, with people, don't stay in a parked car if it's too hot. Take it easy during the hottest parts of the day. It may be something that it just is what it is. The parade is happening in the hottest part of the day. But if not, if you can schedule Masonic events or barbecues for different times of the day, try scheduling them during the evening. Try scheduling them at night. Schedule them at a time when it's not the hottest part of the day. Or heck, have like a breakfast barbecue, right? I've seen people, cook entire breakfasts on a barbecue first thing in the morning. Might be better than having a barbecue at noon when it's the hottest part of the day. Wade, that's awesome. Keep up the good work. Noah, I think you can eat meat and be ethical. And then be cautious if you're at increased risk. If you take medications or have a condition that increases your risk of heat-related issues, such as a history of prior heat illness, be cautious. Avoid the heat and act quickly if you notice symptoms of overheating. If you take part in strenuous sporting events or activities in hot weather, make sure there are medical services ready in case of heat emergency. So I would say it's up to us as Freemasons on two levels. First, it's up to us to be cautious ourselves. But second, it's up to us to be cautious for those around us. What that means is, if you're organizing let's say a Masonic parade, or you're taking part in a 4th of July parade for your Masonic lodge, you should be responsible for yourself and to make sure you're being cautious and being safe. But it's also up to the lodge, maybe the secretary, maybe the worshipful master, really probably both, to be cognizant and aware of anybody in the lodge, especially anybody in the lodge who's in the parade, who might be at an increased risk. Are there people marching who are older, who struggle with heat? Maybe they're on some medications that are dangerous. And pay attention to them. So pull a brother aside who's younger, who's more healthy, who's less at risk, and say, can you march next to so-and-so? He's a bit older. We know he might struggle with the heat. We just want you to keep an eye on him. Unfortunately, one thing I found within Freemasonry is many people are, many older people are a bit stubborn. They very often don't want to pay attention to, let's say how they're feeling, or to recognize their limitations. They'll want to march in a parade even if it's dangerous for them. So just ask people to always be around them and pay attention to them, and have with them a fully charged cell phone. So if there is an emergency, they can call somebody quickly and immediately. No fireworks today. And also, Yo Maple, again, if you're taking part in a parade as a Masonic lodge, and you're under a heat dome warning, maybe designate one brother who's healthy, who's younger, to, carry with them, not like literally carry, but have some type of wagon or something else on wheels that has a whole bunch of coolers with water and ice in it that they can take with them during the parade. So if any brother needs it, they can get access to it. Or, you can maybe even hand them out to people who are watching the parade, or other groups in the parade, if they start to get, if it starts to get too hot for them. That'll be a good way for people to have a good memory of Freemasonry, if nothing else. Victoria, or Victor Vaude, hello, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. And also, what you can do is you can add on to the water bottles a custom label that has information of information about your Masonic Lodge itself, right? So again, it's really hot, you're struggling, and then a Mason comes up, gives you a bottle of water that has information about his Masonic Lodge, contact information, things like that. I mean, it's a pretty good idea, right? And you're going to have a very fond memory of Freemasonry as a result of that. And certainly, again, if it's one of your Masonic brothers who's struggling, then it's probably even more important that you get him, well, it's important for everybody, let me put it that way. But you're responsible for making sure that you keep them safe and making sure they get water. So that matters a lot as well. So, I mean, these are little things, but they're important to think about. They're important to keep in mind. Again, getting dispensation to wear loose-fitting, comfortable clothing in heat waves if you're normally expected to wear suit and tie and regalia. Making sure you have a car available or air conditioning in your buildings is really important. Spreading as much as you possibly can information about Masonic lodges and information about about cooling centers in your communities, libraries, casinos, city halls, cooling tents, but also perhaps your Masonic lodge at certain times, so long as you have the volunteers to do it and can be done safely, can act as a cooling center. It'd be really good press for the lodge, again, so long as you can do so safely, so long as you have volunteers to make it happen. I mean, I know that a lot of people will hear me talk about this stuff and say, you should be talking about King Solomon or Hiram Abiff. That stuff's important in Freemasonry, but making sure our brethren remain safe during heat waves and heat emergencies, and making sure they stay safe, especially during the 4th of July, when they'll very likely be spending a lot of time outside, is equally important. It's something secretaries and masters need to be thinking of and need to be paying attention to. And so I hope you guys will consider doing that as much as possible. And I hope that I gave you some advice. Again, going back to the advice I would give you, I'm going to use a very specific example. Let us imagine that your Masonic Lodge is going to be marching in and taking part in a 4th of July parade. First of all, as the secretary or master organizing this, take a few moments to think about any brethren who may be older, who may struggle in the heat. If you know they have medical conditions that will cause them to struggle, pay attention to that. And try to pair them up. You don't even have to tell the older brother you're doing this, but try to pair them up with younger, more healthy brothers who are less at risk from the heat. So you pull a brother aside, hey, John Smith is a bit older, he might be more affected by the heat. Can you just march with him? Keep your eye on him. If you see him start to struggle, can you, go up and make sure he's okay? And can you make sure you have on you extra water as well as a fully charged cell phone, so if there is an emergency, you can deal with it right away, right? Like, that's a really good idea and a really good thing to do right off the hop. Encourage your brethren to wear loose-fitting clothing that will not be affected by the heat. If normally you're expected to wear like a suit and tie or have a dress code for these things, take a few moments to ask for dispensation so you don't need to wear that. You can wear something cool and refreshing that's not going to be impacted by the heat, especially if you're a higher ranking officer. If you're marching in the parade, designate at least one Mason, but maybe a couple, to drag with them or bring with them a wagon on wheels that has extra water, extra sports drinks to hand out as necessary. And maybe see if you can put on them a label that has information about your Masonic Lodge. So if you're ever handing them out to non-Masons, they see it and they think of you in a positive way. If the parade has the option to bring cars into the parade with it, maybe you have a car following you that has air conditioning. So if a brother is suffering from heat exhaustion, you can get him into the air-conditioned car right away, help keep him safe. If you are scheduling a Masonic barbecue, either for this weekend or any weekend where there is any type of heat warning or heat, emergency, try scheduling the barbecue for later in the day or earlier in the day before there is, heat at its highest level. Again, encourage brethren showing up to wear loose-fitting, comfortable clothing. Make sure you're leaving aside areas with shade, or if possible, even areas with air conditioning. Have lots of water. And again, in this barbecue, pay attention to any brothers you know might be ill or might be suffering or might be more at risk of heat exhaustion or heat stroke, and work with them to get them into something that's healthy or safe for them. Have well-charged phones if there's an emergency. And if you happen to be having a lodge meeting during a heat wave, first of all, if your building is air conditioned, great. If it's not, check to see if you can reschedule a meeting for a time when there's not a heat warning or heat emergency. Figure out if you need to do a dispensation request so you don't have to wear suit and ties. Have water in the building. And again, pay attention to any of your Masonic brothers who may be struggling with these things. Suggest that at least a couple brethren have first aid training, and ask that that first aid training include how best you can deal with, heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Sometimes I find with first aid courses, they're not necessarily going to talk to you about dealing with heat exhaustion or heat stroke unless you ask for that specifically. So make sure you ask for it. It's getting hotter and hotter every year. And again, have your secretary master have a possible list, or at least keep in their mind who is struggling, who might be struggling. Ask people, do you have air conditioning at your home? If you don't, invite your brother to spend time with you. If you have air conditioning, or go check on him, bring him water, things like that. It's little things, but it's important. It matters. What is the dog star, Jeremy? I feel like I've heard that expression before, but I can't think of how or from whence it comes. Mayo, of course, I love to read it. No, and Harry, that's a very valid point. It's important to keep in mind I'm not a doctor, so everything I say should be double checked with a doctor, more specifically with your doctor. But this is some general advice that I hope you guys will take into account, and always double check with the doctor if you have any concerns. And might even be a good idea, for whatever it's worth, to think about and consider having having a doctor come to a Masonic lodge and do a presentation on heat stroke and heat stroke and heat exhaustion, right? Like, if you happen to have a member of your lodge that is already a doctor, ask him to present for a few minutes on heat stroke, heat exhaustion, what to look out for, and how to be safe. If you don't, then by all means, maybe what you can do is bring in a doctor, go from there to refreshment, and have him do that presentation. It'd be really fun and really cool. So that's my piece of advice for you there. And yeah, I think that I really like what Mulpour says. Yes, as a Mason, I have a responsibility to pay attention and care for my brethren, care for the people around me, and care for my community, and want them to be safe. And I especially want to talk about it now because July 4th coming up, there are a ton of barbecues and all sorts of things taking place and coming up. And I want to make sure barbecues, parades, fairs, celebrations, special meetings, all of which, for at least 150 to 250 million Americans, are going to be taking place under under heat warnings and heat emergencies, and we want to be responsible during those times. If for nothing else, even if you say, I don't need to be responsible. If I get sick, I get sick. Well, no, it's not just you. If you get sick and need to go to the hospital, if you get sick and need to end up, out of action for a while as you try to recover, that's not just you. That's everybody. That is everybody struggling. So just keep that in mind and do your best to take care of yourself. I'm a firm believer in that. One of the biggest misconceptions I think that exists in the world is this idea of, who cares if I get sick? It's my body. It's not just you. Every hour you need to spend getting treated affects those around you. It takes you out of the world in a sense, right? Because all that time you need to feel better. The average amount of water a Freemason should consume in a day is the same as the average amount of water anyone should consume in the day. It's going to depend on a lot of different factors. I would just say if you feel yourself thirsty, you've already slightly dehydrated. So make sure you're drinking water throughout the day. I was once told the key is make sure your pee is clear. I don't know. Sounds about right to me. Here are some options to beat the heat. This is from the city of Windsor. As they point out, it's unseasonably hot and humid weather. Enjoy cooling off at one of the free splash pads throughout the city, open daily 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Windsor Public Library branches and city customer care centers provide cool havens from the heat. Stay hydrated with water filling stations and fountains at all customer care centers. Outdoor pools are open for the summer. There's also a homelessness and housing help pad at 400 Wyandotte Street East. Is those experiencing homelessness. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including holidays. The heat warning, so this is specific for Windsor, Essex. I believe that many different municipalities will have different types of heat warning systems, but ultimately they all tend to be similar in terms of like the general temperatures at which the heat warning takes place. Daytime highs reach or exceed 31 degrees Celsius for 2 consecutive days, with nighttime lows above 21 degrees Celsius. Again, the bigger concern is not just high heat during the day, it's high heat during the night as well, which doesn't give your body a chance to relax. The humidex reaches 42 degrees Celsius or higher as well. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, so Robbie, I think that's why it's important to pay attention to both, drinking lots of water, but also your electrolytes. And you're absolutely right. It's important to keep both in mind. Which is why sports drinks, salt intake, some of that stuff matters as well. Pay attention to both. We do not take blood oaths, Harry. I would not take a blood oath for no other reason than it's unhygienic to take a blood oath. But that's something else I should have mentioned. My recommendation would be, if nothing else, every secretary of a Masonic lodge and every worshipful master of a Masonic lodge should have and pay attention to heat warnings and heat indexes in their area. So if you have a Masonic meeting coming up, if you have a barbecue coming up, if you have a celebration, a parade, whatever it is, make sure the secretary knows before the meeting. Is there a heat warning? Is there a heat emergency? If there is, to either or both of those, that should give the secretary a warning. Maybe arrive a little bit earlier at the location of the event and, set up coolers with extra water and extra ice. Get there a bit early and turn on the air conditioning if there is air conditioning. That way, when people are getting there, it's already cool and they're not going to be dealing with it. Request dispensation for cooler clothing. Have a fully charged cell phone in case of heat emergency or heat stroke. All that stuff. It's a little thing, but it matters. And so maybe even get on your phone. I believe you can do this. Set your phone up to get an alert if there's ever a point at which the heat gets too high or there's a heat warning. Secretary needs to know about how to keep the brethren safe. So does the worshipful master. Cookie, please hit like and subscribe. Panned, what are you confused about? Yes, I've heard that as well. If it's too cold, it can shock the system. But I think the most important thing is just getting water in you right away. But again, always double check with a doctor, which again is why I recommend maybe have a doctor come to a Masonic Lodge meeting at least once and talk about what are the signs of heat stroke, what are the signs of heat exhaustion, and what are the ways to be as safe as possible for both. It may even be worth, in a Masonic Lodge, having a stack of, these type of items, cooling pads, that you keep in a freezer or in a cooler during events where the temperature is going to be very high, or under heat warning. Or heck, even if, heaven forbid, a Mason falls down. That's another thing I mentioned, right? If you're marching in a parade and there's an older brother who is insisting on marching, maybe he uses a walker, crutches, maybe he's older, whatever it is, and he can struggle a bit, again, ask a younger brother to march with him just to keep him safe if he's at risk of tripping or falling. You don't want to make it obvious, obviously, that, you're watching this guy like a hawk, but just be aware, be cognizant of these things. Have a first aid kit with you, too, in case anything happens. He falls down, he faints, he has a cut or a bruise. No, maybe I'm LGBTQ, maybe I'm not. What matters is I'm handsome. Mayo, if you're hungry, get yourself some food. I agree with that. Consider yourself. Unfortunately, I've discovered elderly people, not just Masons, can sometimes be a bit stubborn. Who am I to judge? I'm a bit stubborn. But because they can be a bit stubborn, I think what that means is sometimes we need to do our best to, just check on them, make sure they're okay. And during an event that there's a heat warning, that's a doubly important time to be checking on them regularly. What does obsession have to do with Freemasonry? I'd love to hear that connection. I mean, yes, he is, because he wants to do the right thing and he cares about history and tradition. So that makes him very, very, very Masonic. There's other ways, you don't have to be a Mason to be Masonic. People just need to remember that. But yes, I would say so. Freemasonry is not demonic, Harry. It's not demonic. You're just being a troll. I am obsessed with it, so you're not wrong about that, but that's not the fault of Freemasonry. That's just the fault of, it's like an artist and my favorite song. I'm obsessed with Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. That doesn't mean that it's the fault of Leonard Skinner. It just means, what can I say? I love that song. Ugh, for heaven's sakes, why do people do that stuff? That drives me crazy. It's just kind of being a troll, so we're going to deal with that in this case. Alright. There you go, Yo Maple. Why not be creative and draw a portrait? I ordered some... What? Here's the question. What is the pizza you want? Johnny Canine, the cartoon? I thought it was okay. Seth. What is the... No, Curse. We should not be giving anybody free perks. I mean, Percocet is incredibly dangerous. It should be given by a doctor after being prescribed and being monitored. Um, Freemasonry is not a cult, Stuzzy Boa. And I am not part of anyone's disinformation campaign. What makes you think I am? Um, what is the disinformation campaign of which you speak? Oh, that sounds pretty good, but not the ranch part. Oh, John. I was thinking Johnny Nine or something. There's a cartoon. He was part of Dark Side of the Ring, right? I never knew him. I never really got the chance to watch him, but I've known some people who knew him, and he was a very talented wrestler, from what I understand. Alex Jones, not a fan of him. I think he's a bad person. I think he makes the world a much worse place. Seth, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the all caps. That'll get you timed out eventually. Take the caps off. Second, on what are you basing this? Why do you say that, Mayo? I don't think he's unrealistic at all. He's a big dude with a chainsaw. That's pretty realistic as terms of like he could, mess you up. And it's not supernatural at all. I mean, I, as a Freemason, am making the move to have a hand in social media and YouTube because I want to be able to turn my passion for Freemasonry into profession, and that means content creation, right? So yeah, I'm focusing on social media, but other people may have different desires. Freemasonry as an institution is not trying to have quote unquote a hand in social media. It's simply something I think we should have a hand in. Oh, the most reasonable villain? Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it depends. So much of it is on like when you're looking at each of these villains. Um, like, I would rather take on Jason from Friday the 13th in parts 2 through 4 than I would in part 6 on, right? Well, I mean, the Fat Muppet defined secret societies. Like some would say Freemasonry is a secret society, but I don't know if I would buy that or not. I think it's a private institution. I think what you're asking me is, do I believe that there are societies that exist that no one else knows about? That I do not. Like, you may not know all the secrets of the society, like the CIA, for example, but you know they exist, if that makes any sense. No, Seth, we do not worship Moloch. Freemasonry is not a religion, so there's no worshiping of any figures, Moloch or otherwise. In fact, I never heard of Moloch till I started this channel. I don't know. I wouldn't want to try it, Yo Maple. My view on it is, so at the start, um, at the very start, I would say Michael Myers from the OG Halloween would be the most likely person you could take out, although I don't think I could do it. I'm just saying he's the most likely. Second would probably be, in my opinion, the original Jason from Friday Part 2, or even Friday Part 1 when he's a kid and he comes out of the lake. I could take a kid. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. The easiest villain to defeat would be Chucky from Child's Play. Right? Child's Play and Chucky, it's entirely based on the element of surprise and shock. That's it. The actual, like, doll itself is shorter than me. I think I could take Chucky on if I had to. I am not Christian, Miss Emily. I mean, I believe in a supreme being, but I'm not Christian. Whoa, Child's Play is an incredible franchise. I love it. But the actual, like, if you had to fight any horror movie monster or villain, I'm taking Child's Play first. Um, and then going from there. Mr. Dane, why would you ask that question? Why do you ask that? I mean, I need to know more to be able to answer it. As a general rule, you know, it won't happen overnight, but if you quit, it won't happen at all. But I need to know more why you're asking that. Do you not enjoy it anymore? I believe in a supreme being. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe. Oh my gosh, Mayo. If I had to chance, cancer-free world, but Freemasonry will cease to exist, or world peace, but 3 random people die? Oh my gosh. I gotta go world peace because, well, I need to double check, but my suspicion is more people die every year in conflict than die from cancer. And ultimately, I'm a utilitarian in life. I believe the most moral decision is the one that spreads the most good over the most group. And so therefore, I'd want to limit unnecessary suffering. And I think world conflict probably causes more unnecessary suffering than cancer. I know the 3 people who would die would be miserable, but you're going to save more. So there's that. BM, I might be a loser. You can agree or disagree with me, but Freemasonry is not a loser. Or Freemasons are not losers. Some of the coolest people I've ever known in my life are Freemasons. Why do you say that, though? Why do you say Freemasons are losers? I mean, $1 million or cancer? The $1 million, obviously, I don't want cancer. I would take, I just don't want any cancer, period. So if I have the choice between those 2 things, one is wonderful, one is terrible. Don't know what that is, Drons. It is a paradox. My suspicion is if time travel is possible, the universe would create such a situation where all that does is create 2 different branches and 2 different universes. One in which you exist, one in which you don't. And you would end up being shunted over to the one in which you don't exist. So you would, basically you'd have a branching situation is all. Once again, please take a moment if you're new to the stream to hit like, hit subscribe. It's great to see the growth on this channel. We're getting closer and closer to 4,400 subs. So please help a brother out. I would be grateful. We're talking about Freemasonry and the ways Freemasonry wasn't as relevant to the communities in which it's located. I just finished talking about ways that we in Freemasonry can keep ourselves safe during this 4th of July weekend as we deal with the heat exhaustion and heat stroke. I mean, you can take a break from posting on YouTube, Mr. Dane. I think you need to ask yourself when you go through this, and this is something that we in Freemasonry need to deal with as well, why did you start posting on Freemasonry? Start posting on YouTube. Is it because you want to be famous and that's it? Or is it because you had a topic or discussions that you want to share with people? And if it's the latter, then I will say you'll probably rediscover and re-find your passion. At least that would be my hope. Of course, Double, you're allowed on here. This channel is talking to anybody about Freemasonry. That's one of the things I love about it. I'd be grateful if you hit like and subscribe. That'd be very helpful. And maybe even do a super chat. If you're doing anything with the goal of being famous or well known, I think your motivation is gonna wear out, and it's a dangerous motivation to have because I don't think it's going to be good for long-term motivation. Freemasonry is a civic institution or community group that has existed for over 300 years. So, do I think childhood obesity is childhood neglect? I don't know, because obesity can have so many different causes that are outside of one's control. There could be medical issues that encourage it. I mean, In the most general sense, yes, but with a lot of exceptions that we need to keep in mind. Um, yes, Mayo, I would say do it because you love it and the passion will follow. Money doesn't always follow everything you do that you love, but it can. So I guess that'd be my advice. Do it because you love it and hopefully the money follows. But if not, the passion and the motivation to keep going will follow, more so than anything else. But loving, yeah, Freemasonry is a club or a group that has existed for about 300 years, over 300 years, maybe closer to 400 at this point. I would agree with what Yo Maple is saying there as well. That's a really important thing to keep in mind. We should not be chasing, because when we say we're doing something to be famous, the problem with saying that is ultimately all that ends up happening is we start to request, we start to put our fate in the hands of others. Because other people will make you famous. You won't make yourself famous. What you can do though is make yourself fulfilled and like you care more. That is what you have control of. So Freemasonry is not a religion. I mean, there is no single moral guideline for Freemasonry because Freemasonry is not a religion, right? I would say at the most basic level, it's to be good men and honorable and true. So Freemasonry are not love of homeland is, in my opinion, love of Freemasonry, at least to an extent. Or sorry, to love Freemasonry is to love your country, by the way. Oh, you guys can't see my cat, but my cat is there. Hold on just one second. I'll let you guys get a good look at her because people love Bandit. Can you see Bandit there? That's my cat. Greatest cat in the world. Don't want to brag or nothing. But Bandit is the greatest. So, going back to the question. He does. Don't we all, the fat muppet? When you say... I just want to, sorry, going back to the question. There is Freemasonry in Japan. The Grand Lodge is located in Tokyo. To be a Freemason, I believe, is to love your country. I am a Canadian first and a Freemason second, and I'm grateful for that. However, the beautiful thing about Freemasonry is I have brothers in Japan. I have brothers in Texas. I have brothers in New York. I have brothers in Mexico. I have brothers in Rio. And getting the chance to meet them all and spend more time with them is something for which I am truly grateful and has made my life so much better. So there you go. Yes, Yo Maples, I believe that Bubbles would love Bandit. There are Latin Freemasons, absolutely, yeah. There are Latin Freemasons and North American and South American. Bulba, first of all, thank you for being here. Second, I don't know if you heard what I was talking about before. If you're working out outside, be safe. Lots of water. Pay attention to your electrolytes and talk to a doctor. Because it's very hot out and working out right now, there are warnings. If you're working out in a gym inside, then that'll be different. If I'm not able to get you your coin next week, then I'm going to mail your coin to you again. I got sent back last time, so if I can't get it to you by, let's say, July 10th, then it's going to be in the mail for you. So be ready for that. I'll just try to resend it to you. Thank you, Sarah. Do you follow me on Medium? Like, are you subscribed to get my stories? And, if you want to help me out, share them on your socials. All right, just Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30, 10:30, Bulba, just let me know which one works best for you. Oh, we got the hat. Thank you, Mayo and Oreos. Thank you for the party hat. Well, sparkling, that's a bunch of nonsense. Can you tell me why you think that? Do you think about Freemasonry? Like what's the thoughts behind that? Perfect, thank you. Share some of those stories. I'd be much obliged. Do you have a favorite story? Horror Times. Thank you for being here. I love scary movies. What's your favorite scary movie? And we got a flow state. I'm not on the news. All right, so you're just full of nonsense. I mean, I've been on the news, but only for good things because I'm so awesome. Um, Mayo and Oreos. Did you read My Prisoner's Paradox? A judge tells a prisoner he'll be hanged next week, but the day will be a surprise. The prisoner reasons, well, it can't be Friday because it's too obvious, so then Thursday is impossible. Um, I don't get it. I don't think I get it. Thank you, Curse. That's incredibly kind of you. I appreciate the super chat. Um, no worries, Bubba. Like I said, just Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Any one of those days works. It can be another day as well, but I obviously like to get people to stop by during coffee club just because I want to support the coffee club and get some new people in. You can be accepted into Freemasonry in Japan. I don't see why you wouldn't. Japan doesn't judge you based on how you look. The beautiful thing about Freemasonry is it welcomes people of all different faiths, backgrounds, beliefs, but also it's not about how you look. It is the internal and not external qualifications of man. That is what matters to Freemasonry. That is what should matter to Freemasonry. Well, I guess that's a good point, Mayo. I mean, but there's something wrong with that. I don't remember what the fallacy is, but there's a name for that particular type of fallacy. Like I once knew somebody who said every time before they got on an airplane, they would imagine that the airplane was going to crash. And the reason they did that is because the odds of a plane crashing after someone has imagined it will crash has to be higher than the odds of a plane crashing without anybody imagining it. And that sounds logical, but it's specious. And I forget why, but there's some type of explanation as to why that's specious logic. I just can't think of what it is. Curse, thank you for being here. Dopamine, I got a big forehead. What can I say? Oh, well, Mayo, are you doing it for the same reason? Because you think it'll affect the outcome? Or just doing it because you're scared of roller coasters? We got a lot of 6-7s. Too many of those are going to get you timed out for spamming. All right. One more, going to get spammed. All right. There we go. Unfortunately, spamming is part of it. What can you do? Thank you, Young Savage. Please hit like and subscribe. Curse, because you think that it's unlikely that a plane will crash if someone converts to Islam? I have no idea, Mayo and Oreos. I've been wondering that for a while. Who knows? Who knows how anything becomes a thing nowadays on the internet? People are crazy. Oh, Robin with the joke. I'll be back in just one moment. I need to get myself a little bit of energy because I did not have any lunch yet. Got myself a cookie. So honestly, the best snack for streaming is jerky, just on a side note. Bulba, who's snitching? Thoughts on the new Minion movies? Haven't seen them. What can I say? Harry got banned. My Harry, with the rest of the name, I can't say. Not my dad, a different Harry. He did get banned. Yes, apparently Robbins, I was told that for long streams, which makes sense to me, to be honest, the best, for long streams, the best type of snack to have is jerky. Because it's high in protein, you get good long-term energy. I'd believe it. I'm not saying 100%, but I would believe it. Hod, H-A-W, why are you sad? I'm very sorry that you're sad. I thought 69 meant something else, which we're not going to say here, because you know, it means something different. It might get me in trouble. Well, you kept saying 67, so that's going to get you timed out. Don't be spamming the chat. So then, curse, if that's true, that's a very good point. First of all, make sure you have air conditioning, or you're doing it in a place that's not too hot. Make sure you're wearing loose-fitting clothing. So if there is an issue with that, you can balance it out. Wear some, you know, drink some water, deal with electrolytes. All that stuff is incredibly important. Thoughts on Mormons? No issue. I mean, I like Mormons. I've known a couple. They're good people. I'm not going to be a judge of anyone's religious beliefs. Robbins, welcome once again. I don't know what that is, Mayo. I'm not saying, I'm not giving you health advice. I'm just saying I was told that jerky is the best snack for long streams. I mean, here I am. You know, here I am eating cookies for my snack, so take that for whatever it's worth. Oh, for heaven's sakes. All right. We'll give this guy a 24-hour timeout, and then if he comes back and he's still doing it, we'll ban him. I have no idea, Mur. I've been told that it's actually healthier. I'm a Masonic intelligence asset. You have made me sound way cooler than I actually am, Santos. I promise you. I don't even know what that means. But please hit like, please hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Interesting. I mean, I don't know, Mayo. I always talk to a doctor about, you know, your health, your health and your eating habits. I do like jerky. I don't eat a ton of it because it's expensive, but I do like jerky. Some lodges have those, the Fat Muppets. Certainly some lodges have rooms for studying, either officially or unofficially. On the other side of it, it's, you know, the idea of sleeping at lodge, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but as a general rule, it's not meant to happen because there's usually issues surrounding, like, how your lodge is properly zoned. Freemasons should be studying more. I wish we did. You know, studying of Masonic ritual history is actually really important. That is why I do try, when I can, on this channel to talk about, you know, uniquely Masonic subjects. But I also think we should be studying just day to day, like how to live better lives, how to protect the people around us. Things of that nature is incredibly important as well. Yes, fish jerky. I like fish jerky a lot. By the way, fish jerky is incredible and delicious. Doesn't get the love it deserves, I think, very often. All right. Let's put this guy in a timeout. I mean, if they're not studying, they're going to Masonic Lodge meetings, they're taking part in parades and floats and celebrations, they're organizing events, they're cleaning the lodge. Honestly, you can learn just as much about Freemasonry and just as much about the importance and value of Freemasonry by spending the day vacuuming the lodge as you can from being from studying morals and dogma or something like that. They're both equally important. And I feel like sometimes one of them gets way too underappreciated. Well, I mean, so I like red meat, moussaka, quite a bit. Having said that, why do you, like, I'm not opposed to eating bugs, just for the record. Like, bugs are a good source of protein. They're probably very easy to farm. They're incredibly resilient, so you're not dealing with as many medical issues with them as you're dealing with livestock. They don't need a ton of space or a ton of food, so you can farm a large amount of them on a relatively small area. It seems to me like if more of us were eating bugs, it might actually be a healthier thing. The little I know. Interesting. I never heard of lamb jerky, but I'm sure that'd be quite good. I'm not familiar with the Wounded Knee Massacre. I've, heard about Wounded Knee before, but I don't know anything about it. Unfortunately, historically, so many groups have stories of harming others, of massacres. It really sucks. So, actually, funny, I just was talking about it. Here it is on CNN. Triple-digit heat upends July 4th celebrations. So there you go. There's already upending of celebrations due to the heat. This is from CNN. Trump's Great American State Fair postponed amid deadly Northeast heat wave. Let's see. The dangerous multi-day heat wave is tightening its grip on the eastern United States, shattering records, straining the electric grid, and raising the risk of millions of people preparing to celebrate the 4th of July outdoors. At least 20 locations broke or tied daily temperature records Thursday. Multiple East Coast cities were hotter than Phoenix, the southwestern desert city known for breathtaking heat, including New York and Newark. Great American State Fair takes a break. Organizers for the fair, taking place on the National Mall, announced Friday that the event was closing due to extreme heat, with plans to open at 5 p.m. The capital hit 100 degrees with a 111-degree heat index. Philadelphia canceled its Friday Independence Day parade due to extreme heat. So, New York City power outages. More than 6,000 customers in the New York metro area are without power as of 2 p.m. Friday. The outages are largely due to the ongoing heat wave. Voltage reductions are also in place in parts of Staten Island, Queens, and the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Westchester. There's also a pollution-fueled heat wave. The intensity of the heat and humidity combined this week would have been virtually impossible without the effects of fossil fuel pollution, according to an analysis from World Weather Attribution. So that's a good thing to keep in mind as well, and to remind you of, which is, if you are a Masonic secretary or worshipful master, and you're organizing your lodge to march in a parade, to take part in a festival or a fair, whatever it might be, just make sure that you are paying attention to what's happening with the parade, with the festival, and with the weather. For example, if they cancel the parade, make sure you get notified right away through alerts, whatever it is, and then make sure you notify your Masonic brothers right away. It's not impossible to imagine a parade gets canceled. Not everybody gets the message, and suddenly people are going out in extreme heat, in dangerous heat, for a parade that is not taking place. YOLO. Right now I'm just talking about Freemasonry and extreme heat, but please hit like, please hit subscribe, and let me know how you're doing. And any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. There is mass. What is that? Vapor wave. And we're just about to hanging out, waiting to see who joins. I was going to talk about Detroit and the recent happenings at the Detroit Masonic Temple, but I think I'm going to hold off on that for the time being and maybe talk about it next week. I want to get a few more bits of information about that before I proceed. RV RVKB Chess, hello, how's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Please hit like and let me know how your day is treating you. And yeah, we're just about to hanging out, chatting. I do want to do a little bit of a longer stream today than normal, but mostly this is a chance to hang out and just chat about whatever. So, thank you, RVKB. I mean, we should love the Mennonites everywhere, as any culture, right? One of the beautiful things about Freemasonry is we welcome people of all different faiths, beliefs, backgrounds, ethnicities. I'm not aware of any Mennonite Freemasons, but I'm sure there are some. It would not, be surprising to me. Thank you so much for the subscription. We are 14 subs away from 4,400 subscribers. So we're getting there slowly but surely, and I would be grateful. If you guys could help me out with that, it would be much obliged. I do not know what the Thelemic Lodge is referred to. I can tell you, Freemasonry, we do not do child trafficking or anything illegal. In fact, many police officers themselves are Freemasons. I do like reading. I enjoy reading about technology, science, and history. And I've covered all of those things on my channel at different points. And I'm grateful for that as well. So them would be the Shriners on the little buggies. They are Freemasons. To be a Shriner, you must first be a Freemason. And they are an incredibly important part of what it means to be a Freemason. They are part of the charitable aspect of Freemasonry. They have the Shriners hospitals, the dinners. It's really, really cool. All the things that they do for kind of the world at large, really. And I think the shrine is, a lot of people will say they don't like Freemasons, but they love the shrine. And it's like the shrine is, part of Freemasonry. But it's unfortunate, as Freemasonry has declined, so too has the shrine. And that's unfortunate because it means all the good that the shrine can do, it gets harder and harder for them to do it. What was the butcher shop? Do you remember the name of it, Yo Maple? Yeah, I mean, the Thelemic, I'm not really sure what that's referring to. Or, I mean, I've heard it before, but it's not a Masonic order to my knowledge in any way. I've never heard of it. Murasaki, please hit like and subscribe. I would be truly appreciative and grateful. Interesting, Yo Maple. I mean, I always love learning about Masonic related businesses and celebrations and events and Freemasonry in general. I've not really heard of like a Shriner operated butcher shop, but it could be that a Mason owned it and just used like Masonic symbolism therein, right? That would be certainly possible. But I am happy to report I have air conditioning once again. It's working good. It was being a pain in the butt, but we got it working, so. And it doesn't seem too loud either back there. So tomorrow, don't forget, 1 p.m., I'm going to be doing the live stream of the Canada-US soccer game, which I cannot wait for. It's going to be a blast. Oh no, I think it was the Mennonites. Yeah, it makes more sense that it's the Mennonites. Like I said though, I don't know any Mennonite Freemasons off the top of my head. Perfect. I'm glad you can't hear it. If it was too loud, I would turn it off. But again, I don't want to be doing anything unsafe either, right? So I'm always telling people, be safe in this heat, be safe in this heat. Obviously, we always are the worst at taking our own advice. But nonetheless, I wouldn't want to interfere with this stream too much. So I'm just going to hang out, talk to people, see who jumps on, see who wants to say hello. The most Masonic movie? Well, my favorite Masonic movie is From Hell, starring Johnny Depp, which I know a lot of people are going to say that's probably not the best pick, but I don't care. I love it nonetheless. I think it's awesome. It's obviously does not, it reflects like some of the rituals and ceremonies in that movie are not too far off, to be honest. But obviously we're not out there, trying to cover up crimes, anything like that. I love the Stonecutters episode of The Simpsons. I mean, there was this movie starring Sean Connery. I can't remember the name of it, which had some connections as well. So stuff like that is cool. I've never been one who minds if we within Freemasonry end up, getting ourselves in movies, even if we're the villains or the enemies. That's okay. You know what? I take it to be all in good fun. We had a horror movie guy here a little while ago who's gone. I was curious if he would say what his favorite scary movie was. Do you think, asked Murasaki, do you think the world would be a better place if we brought back guilds? Well, we still have guilds, right? They're trade unions. I think the world would be a better place the more trade unions we had, because I think trade unions, ultimately, the most important thing is being together, being part of something bigger than yourself, and a union provides that. So I do think we need more unions. I used to be anti-union. As a general rule now, I'm pro-union. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule. I think when it comes to the civic service, it's a little bit different, but private institutions, a union can be a very helpful, important thing, certainly for training purposes, if nothing else, and protection purposes, support for one another. Yes, From Hell with Johnny Depp, the Fat Muppet. Did I say Brad Pitt? No, it's starring Johnny Depp. It's a really good movie. I like it a lot. It's probably my favorite Masonic film. It does Modern Welfare. It has a ton of it, and that's a great movie as well. It's really, really good, and it definitely portrays Freemasonry in a much more positive light. Black Flag, like the Assassin's Creed game? Again, I just have part 3, so... my I have a PS3, so I don't know if I can play it or not. Two, sorry, Martin Walford, two of what? Two of the movies? Oh, I missed Toonie Tuesdays. They were incredible. I support that. Um, Unfortunately, you're not getting a lot of things anymore for just $2, no matter how hard you try. What were the two movies you saw as a kid about Freemasonry, or that had Freemasonry in it? I think there are just two of them, right? There's two of them right now. I mean, there might be a third one, but I'm not aware of it. Let me see. They're probably making a new one, though. Wouldn't shock me. Let's see. National Treasure came out in 2004. So there was a sequel in 2007. Oh, there's also a sequel television series, National Treasure: Edge of History, on Disney Plus in 2022. Um, American action adventure television series developed for and globally released for streaming on Disney Plus. It is based on and a continuation of the National Treasure franchise, produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. It stars Lisette Oliveira with Catherine Zeta-Jones as the apparent lead antagonist, and with Justin Bartha reprising his role from the films as recurring character, with Harvey Keitel appears at the beginning, also reprising his film role as the police officer. That's interesting. I'll see if I can check out the show. I don't have Disney Plus is actually a really good streaming service. I prefer Tubi though. That's the best one. Oh, interesting. Harvey Keitel is a master Freemason suffering from dementia in the show. I'm sure it'd be really cool to check out Modern Warfare. Like I said, I like the fact that National Treasure tends to show the Freemasons in a more positive light. That's appreciated when there's so much conspiracy, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Having said that, keep in mind we're not hiding any treasure from anybody. We don't have any special treasure maps or Templar treasure or anything like that. I mean, if I ever get a bigger streaming, like ever get more of the like a PS5, I'm gonna look into getting a few of these games, like Dead Space remake. I would want that because it looks incredible. Um, there's a few different games I'd love to get, including Black Flag, but also Assassin's Creed 3 remake, but also the Dead Space remake looks incredible, genuinely. Marmaduke, what I am is handsome. That's the most important thing. By the way, please take a moment, hit like and subscribe. I'm getting closer and closer to 4,400 subs. We're going to talk about Freemasonry. So any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. Yes, Assassin's Creed has a ton of really, really cool and really interesting Masonic connections. I actually posted about that on my socials. One day I want to get Ubisoft on my channel to talk about how they came up with not just Assassin's Creed 3, but why they included so many Masonic references therein. Because I think that'd be really fun. So it's on my list of things I want to do, without a doubt. We're still back to just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral on Freemasonry, or just really anything else you want to talk about at this point. We're just hanging out, relaxing, just keeping out of the heat. And I hope you guys enjoyed at least some of the advice I gave about how we can protect ourselves and our brethren during this extreme heat. Marmaduke, why do you say that? It's a silly thing to say. Sorry, Yo Maple, we are not hiding the crystal skulls from the Indiana Jones movies. I mean, it would be way more fun if we were, don't get me wrong, but we are not. We're just gonna keep hanging out. Again, I was thinking of going over this stuff with Detroit on this stream, but I don't think I will, just because it's too. I don't know. I wanted to check on a couple things, so instead, I'll probably talk about that on Monday. But it is worth exploring. Sorry, Yo Maple. You're gonna have to get yourself a new list. We're just going to hang out a bit longer, see who joins, see who jumps in, to hit like, hit subscribe. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? And don't forget, mark your calendar, tomorrow, 1 p.m., we are going to be doing a watch-along of the soccer game, Canada versus Morocco. So, I'm going to be posting some more stuff on social media, obviously. After this, I'll update the description to this video and share this video on a few different sites, trying to grow my X accounts and my Instagram accounts as well. Well, what was in this pizza that you ate, if your stomach is burning? Gotta get some stuff ready for my Patreon as well. So that should be a lot of fun. Mostly hide from the fact that it's 20 million degrees out. What is Kung Pao pizza also? By the way, pizza, very common Masonic food. A lot of times at our lodges, we will have pizza after the lodge meeting. Approved username. Freemason knows what he did. War Shell. What is the third eye? I'm not sure what that is. I mean, I've heard of it, and this type of idea of like an extra type of perception. I don't know if that's to what you're referring. Oops. But what is the third eye to which or about which you're referring? And by the way, thank you to everybody for the super chats, for the gifts. Don't forget, the more super chats and all the rest of it you give, the better it is for the stream. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Yo Maple. I mean, you just saw my cat about an hour ago. I mean, pets, cats, dogs, they become part of the family, right? Without question. So I think it's really good of you to be buying something to honor your cat. Your cat. I think that's awesome. What was your cat's name, if you don't mind my asking? Yeah, that definitely sucks. Again, as somebody who loves animals, I like animals more than I like most people, to be perfectly honest. So I'm sure your cat loved you. I'm sure it was a good cat. So that sucks. Sorry to hear that. We're going to give it a bit more time. Just wait to see who joins. Again, after talking about keeping safe, which I think is the most important thing, I figured I would just give it a bit of time and wait to see who jumps on. Which city or town was known as the Beacon? Boston, I think, right? I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that, but I think Boston. No, the Fat Muppet, I don't think by any means. I think it's way overdone, this idea of Freemasonry and secrecy. It's non-Masons who care more about it than the Masons, right? Secrecy in some ways is the least important part of Freemasonry. The truth of Freemasonry is known to anybody, a desire to be happy and to communicate that happiness to others. Sandusky, Ohio. Okay, I'd like to visit Sandusky, Ohio at some point. I think it'd be really fun because it's close to me. Like Ohio is close to me. She was small and it was Smidge. I'm glad you got to experience things, and Yo Maple, you have the exact right attitude towards it. I think. I think you have the exact right attitude towards any death, but whether it be a pet or otherwise, she got to live a good life. She experienced a lot. She went hiking with you guys. So be grateful for the time you had with her and not, upset about the time you don't have with her. Is always good advice. What color was she? I'm gonna guess she was an orange cat with a name like Smidge. I do not know the street layout of Sandusky. Is it a grid? I feel like that'd be the most common. Is it Masonic somehow? In case anybody is curious, we reached in the last 28 days 16,839 new viewers. So thank you for that. Everybody who comes, shares, shows up, you help this channel get new people. I called it, so kind of a series of layered browns and oranges, like a calico, but darker, almost looks like a lynx. That is awesome. The Illuminati and Masons. I mean, the Illuminati really doesn't exist. It started in 1776, died out not that long after. Hasn't been anything important for over 100 years. David, there was no presidents who were Illuminati, and many presidents have not been part of any quote unquote secret societies. Addie, I'm just hanging out, joining, talking to people. I talked earlier today about keeping ourselves safe during this heat wave. I think it's really important that we think about ways we can protect ourselves and our families, especially if we're taking part in any special events. I know about the Illuminati. I know that they are completely unimportant except in conspiracy circles. What level of what branch are you? Oh, the level branch question. It's not a it's not best to think about it in terms of levels. Um, so, you want to think about it in terms of degree and offices. And we wouldn't use the term branches either, we use the term bodies. I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry you can have, or the highest level if you want. I'm also an 18th degree Scottish Rite. I also have the office of Worshipful Master of Border Cities Lodge 554. Now, when you say branch, that can mean a couple different things. I am emulation ritual, as opposed to Preston Webb or York, which is one way you could be describing it. But mostly, I think when people say branch, they asking, are you Scottish Rite or York Rite? I am Scottish Rite. There's also like Shrine and DeMolay and things of that nature as well to keep in mind. But David, I'm not a big fan of that question. Usually when people ask it, it shows a misunderstanding of Freemasonry and of what Freemasonry is. We're just going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. I figured, after I talked about what I want to talk about, which is safety, on this July 4th, we'll just hang out and chat. I will eventually get to talking about Detroit, but I don't think today, because I want to go into a bit more research on it. But apparently, the library and archive is no longer at the Detroit Masonic Temple. That's a good ritual, Jeremy. I mean, some people, for the record, some people very often do consider, like, all sorts of different things rituals. The way they mow the grass can be a ritual to some people. It just depends on kind of a lot of different factors. But yeah, it doesn't shock me at all. We're just going to keep hanging out, wait to see who jumps on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being strange, right? Many people think I'm strange, and look at me go. So there's nothing wrong with being strange. In fact, I think one of the biggest mistakes we made within Freemasonry is because we got so, like, I'm trying to think what the word is. We became so concerned that people would find us strange that, like, we shouldn't care what people think of us. I know it sounds weird, but we shouldn't care about what people think of us. We should just do our best to be good people, help those around us, and the rest is the rest, right? That's kind of my philosophy on life. Super -1? What do you think of Skull and Bones? I don't know much about Skull and Bones. I mean, it's a fraternity out of Yale. I have no issues with it. right? Like, I'm not judging it. I think fraternities are great, but it's not connected to Freemasonry. So this is another one of those cases where it's like, to me, my issue with Skull and Bones isn't that it exists, it's that people keep on comparing it to or implying that it's connected to Freemasonry, which is a pain in the butt. Um, the Fat Muppet, namaste to you as well. You're not wrong, Modern Warfare. And I think one of the biggest mistakes we can make is trying to not be weird. Now, we shouldn't try to be annoying or hurt people or whatever it is, and then blame it on we're just weird and misunderstood. But I think absolutely it is the case that we can, in society, find a balance between being weird and being, good and useful and helping people. But sometimes you should be leaning into your weirdness, because very often the thing that makes you weird can be your greatest strength or your greatest skill. I mean, it's another way to say it is whatever makes you unique, right? Because whatever uniqueness you have in your life, like, that's something no one else has by definition. So why not lean into it? Well, I mean, the Fat Muppet, I think normal versus weird, like, maybe a better way to look at it is useful. And how can you take the different parts of yourself, be they weird or otherwise, and make them useful, right? So, for example, and I've used this example before, many times. If there was this meme that was going around for a while, and it was five nails, and four of the nails were straight, and one of the nails was bent. And the caption underneath was, just because you're different doesn't mean you're useful. And there's some truth to that, right? Like, obviously, being different for its own sake is not inherently a useful thing. Having a bent nail is not inherently useful. But what you can do is, in my opinion, in almost every circumstances, there is something different about you that probably could be useful. Like, maybe that bent nail is just nice to look at and somebody wants to keep it as a keepsake. Maybe it was given to them as a gift from somebody to prove a point. Maybe the bend can be used to fasten, can be used as a hook in some way. Like, you don't know, but maybe it can find another use outside of what it would normally be used for. So I think it's one of those things where every uniqueness, everything that's weird about us can probably find use and value, but we have to be willing to look differently. Or to look different or to think different. It's like with Freemasonry, one thing I always tell people is when you're joining Freemasonry and you're talking to the lodge about yourself, talk about what makes you different. Talk about what makes you unique. Talk about what you may have to offer the lodge that no one else may have to offer the lodge. That'll probably get you pretty far. Ghoul official, you say you're leader of that position. I highly question that. If you were truly leader of opposition, you'd probably be not on a stream with just 3 people, or 9 people, excuse me. Not that I don't love this stream. Having said that, what is your plan in India? And please hit like and subscribe. YouTube, Epstein files, and so adrenochrome is bullshit. I don't believe it exists. The Epstein files, I think they demonstrate that human beings, including one Jeffrey Epstein, are capable of doing some absolutely horrible and horrendous things. And they remind us we need to be vigilant about the trafficking and harming of children. But I think we took a lot of wrong lessons from it, in that very many people decided they were going to start focusing on international exploitation and abuse. Honestly, you're much more likely to be abused from someone you know than someone you don't. You're far more likely to be abused by someone who's close to you than by some international cabal of people. If you really want to help deal with abuse and child trafficking, start by supporting your local abused women's shelter. Believe me, that's going to make a far better difference than that's going to make far more of a difference and be a far better, you know, your life. You are going to make a difference and be far better at helping those around you by supporting your local women's shelter than by studying the, than by studying your Epstein files or something. Yeah, but which leg? Three? I mean, you have to find a careful balance. I'd love my live stream to be prioritized, obviously. Having said that, um, and by the exact same token, I don't want my live to be prioritized exclusively because of Epstein or because of conspiracy. I don't think that's helpful. Maybe left one, maybe right one, maybe neither. Maybe it's not a thing. If you want to find out things about Freemasonry, you got to join. We're going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. And let's just hang out. And Kieran Harriman, please hit like and subscribe if you're not done so. And we'll probably give this another half hour or so. Then we'll be, maybe even sooner, we'll be ending this stream. I'll be back on tomorrow, 1 p.m., doing a watch along of the Canada-Morocco soccer game. And we'll give it a few more minutes. Like always, we'll just wait to see who joins. I mean, there are no... So in Ontario, because everybody's different, right? But in Ontario, um, the limits to your supreme being, you must believe in a supreme being. That supreme being must have made his will or its will known to man, and the supreme being must favor virtue. So if your supreme being can be all of those things, then that will be adequate to join Freemasonry in Ontario. Sometimes they'll say favor, sometimes they'll say prefer, reward, but generally it's along those three categories. It also, I would say, and I've said this before, it has to be, more so than anything else, it has to be of a legitimate and emotional kind of resonance to you. So what I mean by that is somebody could come on, technically, like apply to join the lodge, and could say, I don't know, my supreme being is the flying spaghetti monster. You know, if I were able to believe that they genuinely believed what they were saying, that it was true that that's what they believed, and the flying spaghetti monster genuinely touched their heart and was a legitimate belief, I would let them join. But they can't be trolling me, right? They can't just say it but not really believe in it. And that's a matter of talking to people and questioning people and asking things to people. But if you can do all of those things, then And if they can convince me that their supreme being that they have professed is legitimate and is truly believed by them, then I think that's incredibly important. And it needs to be a well-founded, true belief in your heart. I am very square. I am following Canada now. Actually, tomorrow we're going to do a Canada-Morocco watch-along of the hockey game, of the soccer game, excuse me, the football game, which I can't wait to do. We did not have secret meetings during COVID. We had meetings primarily online and virtually for obvious reasons. When we were allowed to meet in person, we did. If part of that required wearing of masks, we wore masks. If we were required to get vaccinated to have a meeting in person, we got vaccinated. But primarily and very often, we did virtual meetings instead of in-person meetings. And honestly, one of the things I'm most proud of, Nam, in my Masonic career is the virtual meetings we had as part of Harmony Lodge. We never missed a virtual meeting. And not only did we do that, but we brought in guest speakers, special speakers. We brought in all sorts of really cool things. We did a virtual beer and cheese tasting, a virtual whiskey tasting. It was a lot of fun. I really loved it. So, I mean, it was done during a terrible time, obviously. I did not enjoy at all, by any means, being part of a pandemic. I don't think anybody did, but I still loved it nonetheless. I loved the fact that we could do virtual meetings, we could bring in guest speakers. Like a virtual meeting, the really cool thing about that is you can bring in a guest speaker and you don't have to pay them any money for airfare, for flights. It's more convenient. You're not dealing with any, what if the plane is delayed? What if the car breaks down? So you can bring people in from all around the world. So I think it's really cool. And I really appreciated that. I wish we did more virtual meetings still. Freemasonry has nothing to do with the elites. Blind. So sorry. Freemasonry has nothing to do with anybody who's elite. There are just as many plumbers as there are CEOs. In fact, there are probably more plumbers than CEOs. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. And we are not seeing anybody as gods. Freemasonry has no gods, right? Religion can have gods, but Freemasonry does not have gods. Being with what before? Hello, List. Thank you for being here. Maybe I'm gay, maybe I'm straight. It doesn't matter, List. What matters is I'm handsome. I don't wear my Masonic ring, but I like to think today, as in most days, the compass is pointing out to others, thereby reminding me to be better and good to the people around me. I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason for just about 20 years. I started this channel to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the community in which it's located, as well as turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. I mean, the key word there is make it make sense. Because I don't know what non-life-based life means. But if you could explain it to me in a way that made sense, I'd be cool with it. I just need to know a little bit more about what precisely you mean by that. We're not trying to channel anyone's religion toward anything. The reason why it's important you believe in a supreme being is because when you join Freemasonry, there are obligations that you take. if you believe in a supreme being, it's more likely, in my experience, that you will be compliant, or not even compliant, that's not the right word. I guess comply with the obligation you took. It's like in a court of law. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You would swear on a Bible. Because the idea was, if you just say, I promise I'll tell the truth, that's one thing. If you say, I swear to God I'll tell the truth, you're less likely to break it because you are swearing to a higher power of some sort that will affect your. The consequences of that is it will affect your heart more and your conscience more, and you'll be more likely to maintain your obligation. You're not wrong, Jeremy. I'm thinking of doing a 24-hour stream actually on my other account at some point. I've always just done it on this one. But the problem is, as this one grows, it's like I'm suddenly less and less motivated to use my other accounts because I see the success on this one. The vortex, the fan. Are you talking about my AC? I'm not turning it off. It's too hot out there. You just have to live with the sound of it. So, like, the universe is your supreme being? I mean, I think I'd count that. I mean, certainly it favors virtue and it wants us to live. You'd have to be able to explain how it's made its will known to us, although I suppose that would come back down to science and technology, or science and geometry. Do you mean the Knights of Malta? I don't know what the Maltese order is. I assume you mean the military order of the Knights of Malta. It's not Masonic, it's Catholic. It's a religious institution. I know very little about it. As a general rule, what I'll say is I'm always going to be more preference to civic institutions that are not religious or not religiously based than otherwise. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would describe a carbon atom as life. It's a component of life, but it's not life itself. But I mean, your supreme being doesn't need to be alive either, right? We need to keep that in mind. I mean, I've never heard of any like. All I can think of with that is the Knights of Malta. I've never heard of any like Red Maltese Cross Order or anything like that. So I'm not sure. I would count that modern welfare. Again, you'd have to be able to also say, at least in Ontario, that whomever created the simulation favors virtue and made its will known to us. But I think you could do that. The fact, or made itself known to us. The fact that people believe in a simulation might mean that the simulator made itself known to us somehow, at least on a logical creation or logical deduction status. No, the giant flying spaghetti monster is not real, at least in my opinion. But if there's somebody who does believe in it and thinks it's real, then I guess there you go. It's possible. I don't believe in the simulation myself, just because I think it's kind of a silly. Like, the problem with it is if you reach a point where you believe in simulation theory, well, at that point, anything could be a simulation, right? Like, who's to say that we are not the base reality? And if we were to leave this reality and go to another one, who's to say that's the base reality? There could be a third simulation or a third reality that created the other two. And no, they're not dumb. I don't think they're dumb. I think that's silly to say they're dumb. I just think civic institutions that are based exclusively on religion not a huge fan of that. I think as a general rule, it's much better to, when you have a civic institution, creating one that's not based on religious beliefs, I think it welcomes more people. But, for those who are, let's say, Catholic and want to be part of a civic institution, um, I think in those cases, it's you may want to look at like Knights of Columbus, whatever it is. But one of the things I love about Freemasonry is the fact that it welcomes men of different faiths, backgrounds, and beliefs, as well as women, um, in like in the Order of Women Freemasons. I just think one of the most beautiful things about Freemasonry, the things I love most about it, is the fact that you have Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Sikh, whatever it might be, all joining, all coming in together, and working together for a common purpose. I think that's really cool and really special. So it makes its will known to us through their patterns. So I think that's fair enough, Yo Maple. It's kind of similar to what I believe, and I was able to join Freemasonry. Mayo, I get it, believe me. I'm working here too, so. But I appreciate you being here during work. That's incredibly kind. Sorry, Mayo, you're on your own. I can't do that. We're just going to keep hanging out. We're going to wait to see who joins. Once again, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Yes, it's called Crystal Lake, and it's going to be on Prime, I think. It stars Linda Cardinelli, who's going to play Mrs. Voorhees. I look forward to watching it. I think it'll be cool to see. I mean, I get that, I understand that we always want something new, something original. But having said that, when it comes to like an established IP, like the Friday the 13th, whatever it is, I think it makes sense to you're finding different ways to tell a story. I think that's really good. You know? Well, blind, your mind is wrong. I mean, I love my Jewish friends. I love my Jewish brothers. I have no interest in being Jewish. I'm happy being who I am. I think it's in your mind is just wrong, and it shows me that you're looking up a bunch of nonsense on social media and believing it. Who is Vern Troyer? That name sounds really familiar. I just can't. Oh, Ernest. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, the ring. So for me, the ring and the compass is meant to just represent, my love of Freemasonry. I wear it because when I do wear it, which is rare because it clicks in my wheelchair, I wear it because I love Freemasonry, right? Um, but some people will wear it and not be Freemasons. It means whatever you kind of want it to mean. It's like any piece of jewelry, any piece of clothing. Um, oh, okay. I was thinking Ernest for some reason. Why does it sound Jewish, blind dog leading other blind dogs? It makes no sense. What about Freemasonry sounds Jewish? Keep in mind, Jewish is an ethnicity and a religion. It's not a civic institution. Yo Maple, I mean, I agree with that 100%. I've said this before. I think we within Freemasonry need to kind of look for and encourage curious people to join, because curiosity is one of the strongest things when it comes to a predictor of Masonic engagement. We're not trying to earn money together. And when you say helping your own, Freemasons help our own, we also help the community. Very often, Masonic charity is actually directed outwards, not inward. And Freemasonry has nothing to do with quote unquote making money. Um, right? That's not the point of Freemasonry. Anybody who tells you that joining Freemasonry is going to make you rich or famous or help you earn money is lying to you. Which is fine. I mean, unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do to stop people from doing that on the internet other than telling people what the truth of Freemasonry is and how Freemasonry actually works, which is not about earning money, and it's about helping others and helping the community as much as quote unquote helping our own. Freemason. I'm not a Freemasonic CEO. I can tell you that. We don't have CEOs per se. What is going on though? M4S, please hit like and subscribe. I'm 3 subs away from 4,390. So let's see if we can get there today. Would be really cool. And we're going to give this another, let's say 5 minutes or so. Then we'll be ending the stream. Almost to 4K. Yes, I'm getting closer and closer. Well, I'm at 4K. I'm almost at 5K. I'm at 4,390 subs. I'm at 4,387 subs. So I'm hoping to get get to 5,000 soon. So, John, the racial divisions you're talking about, I think, would be Prince Hall primarily. I mean, it's unfortunate that we live in a society, and historically, we lived in a society of racial division. Freemasons, as much as we'd like to be better than, are ultimately and unfortunately going to be subject to some of the prejudices of the times in which they live, as much as we would try not to be. So Prince Hall Freemasonry started as a group for black men to be part of Freemasonry, to be part of Masonic organizations, started by a gentleman named Prince Hall. In 2026, it really doesn't matter. I can go to a Prince Hall lodge, they can come to my lodge, both is perfectly fine. There are white Prince Hall Masons, there are black Freemasons. One of my very first worshipful masters was black. What matters most is, are you good men and true, not your race. Whoa. Well, you don't have to delete that message yet, Yo Maple. He was wrong, and I would have just called him out on being wrong. But you don't have to delete it. Don't be too quick to delete her stuff. It's all right. Because my question would be, that's a silly thing to say, but why would you say that? People get the right to be a little bit stupid on this stream. I'll decide, as a general rule, if I want to start erasing or deleting people. So, I don't know the name of the person who said that. Blind Dog, you're wrong, and you're racist, but why do you say that? No worries. What would make you think that? Because I can think off the top of my head of a ton of things that have been done by different races around the world. I mean, the Chinese have done incredible things. Look at the Great Wall of China, one of the most incredible and amazing engineering feats in the world. Look at the Mayan and the Aztec people. The absolutely incredible architecture and absolutely incredible culture they produced, their architectural wonders. I mean, First Nations and indigenous groups of people, were incredibly vital to the preservation and the development of the land in America, acting as guides for Europeans, helping them survive scurvy that they were suffering. I mean, when it comes to music, sorry, look, Leonard Skinner and Elton John and Janis Joplin are my favorite artists. But if you're being honest and practical, black people have contributed far more to the arts, especially music, than white people ever did. Look at the blues, look at Motown. I mean, look at Sam Cooke. It's absolutely unbelievable. And those are just a few. I could go on and on and on. The idea that it's white people who contributed everything is bullshit. Um, all right, well, if YouTube held that one, then that's okay. What was the one that YouTube held? Um, I think I might have missed one. Oh, there it is. All right, yeah. So blind dog. There's no such thing as a master race. There's no such thing as the master race. Clearly, you're not a Freemason. If you are and you believe such nonsense, then it's unfortunate you got through. No, I don't believe in master races at all. That's baloney. And you can say whatever you want to say about people from India. They're also incredible architects and incredible engineers. Look at the Taj Mahal. Look at Göbekli Tepe, which I actually think was in Turkey, if I recall correctly now. But look at the Taj Mahal. Look at, Bollywood. Probably, I think Bollywood might be in worldwide the second highest grossing entertainment system in the world. Um, well, your personal view is wrong. So, and I mean, you can say anything, but, you can say anything and then respond with it's just my personal view. A, that doesn't mean your personal view is correct. And B, more importantly, that's not an excuse to be a dick, right? I've never heard that before. Orange is the color of resistance to racial prejudice. It's funny then that Blind Dog has an orange avatar. I've never heard that. Is that a thing? Like, is orange a special, like, color to represent that? I think we should just, regardless of colors used, the focus should always be on, more so than anything else, fighting racial prejudice. I think Freemasonry helps with that. Eat bones. Please hit like and subscribe. Well, but I mean, with the nature of media in 2026, the number of people you have is really irrelevant. I mean, Bollywood can be sent anywhere around the world, and by the same token, Hollywood can be sent anywhere around the world. Hollywood has just as much access to the Indian market as anything else nowadays through YouTube and social media, and streaming services, And it seems as though Bollywood is doing pretty great at the moment. And I've seen some Bollywood movies. It's all right. It's pretty talented. I don't know. Seems like they're doing some pretty cool shit. No, John. We, like Freemasonry, we are not in competition with the Catholics, nor are we in competition with any other group. I always point out, a time when Freemasonry was at its greatest was the time when, every single church, every single civic group had the highest engagement. It's not one does well, the rest suffer. It's we all do well or none do well. What we in Freemasonry are in competition with ultimately is the, more so than anything else, is the number of, streaming services that people can watch instead of going out. How comfortable the couch is. We're in competition with economic realities that are encouraging people to prioritize work and overtime over attendance at lodge and attendance at lodge meetings. That is ultimately what we are in competition with. So I've never been on the street view in India, but I've never visited India either, but I've, flown over it a couple of times. I know a lot of Indian people though, including some really great professional wrestlers who are from India. I've known some wrestlers who traveled to India. They're awesome. They're good people. I have no idea what you're talking about when you say, there's some parts of India that are not great, I'm sure, and challenged, but there are plenty that are great. I mean, I recently, I've visited a lot of different countries where there were some parts of it that were pretty interesting, put it that way. Um, but nonetheless, that doesn't reflect on the whole of the country or the whole of the people. I've heard about those, Yo Maple. I mean, Japan is on my list of places I want to visit, so maybe I will, who knows, get the chance to be on one of them one day. It'd be kind of fun. But I've heard they're quite interesting. Cheeky little Draconis. Are you crazy? It is brutally hot right now. The idea that it has nothing to do with climate change seems insane to me. And I hope we find a way to deal with it soon because it's getting hotter and hotter every day. Um, at least it feels like it's getting hotter and hotter every day. And I am not a fan of that. Someone who feels like he's melting when he steps outside. All right, we are going to be ending this stream soon. It's been a little bit of a, well, slightly longer than most, but not by much. I feel like the average stream is probably around 3 hours at the moment. I am thinking about and considering doing another 24-hour stream, but actually in this case on my personal YouTube account, youtube.com/Cameron Adamson, and doing a Christmas in July Christmas movie watch along, which should be a lot of fun and something I'm looking forward to very much. So that is something I want to try out. And yeah, we'll go from there. I also am doing a watch along of the Canada US soccer game tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. So follow me along for that. It's going to be a blast. We're going to celebrate Canada. We're going to cheer for Canada against Morocco. If you're from Morocco, though, cheer for them. I mean, Sean, I suppose that's something I should bring up, to be honest, and thank you for reminding me. I've been talking a lot about the heat and how we as Freemasons can protect ourselves from the heat. But don't forget to protect our family from our families from the heat as well, and that includes our pets. And if you know any Masons who have pets, and maybe they unfortunately don't have air conditioning, talk to them about maybe you can offer to take their pets for a while if you have air conditioning. It's a nice thing to do. Or make sure they have enough water for their pets. If they are bringing their pets with them to like an event, like a barbecue, have water for the dogs, have water for their pets, have a shaded area for them. All that stuff is really, really helpful and really important. So. I mean, I can just tell you that's not up to us, right, John? We officially would say both a Catholic or a Protestant can be a Freemason. It doesn't matter to us. We can't control the decisions that, the Vatican makes, obviously, nor do we want to. So we can only, focus on our side of things. And just do the best we can to be welcoming of all different faiths, backgrounds, and religions. Honestly, Locker, Canada is cooking with the heat, so yes, I agree with that 100%. 1,000%, in fact. So please, as always, take a moment to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry, let me know. We'll be ending this stream soon. Be back on tomorrow, 1 p.m. Patreon, Super Chats, all that good jazz. Believe me, it helps out big time. Get yourself safe, etc., etc. All right. I think we'll be ending this stream now. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, you will find me... you will find me watching the Canada-Morocco soccer game. No 1 a.m. stream tonight, Modern Welfare. So my streaming schedule is, it starts Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then it goes through till Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then on the weekends, I will have, when possible, special events, special streams, as well as, and amongst other things, a lot of social media content. So we'll see, Locker. We'll see. I have faith that we can do okay. All right, guys. Talk to y'all soon. Have a really, really excellent Friday. Keep yourself safe. On Monday, I want to talk a little bit about Detroit, but I want to hold off for a couple days. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.